hey guys, we are going through some technical difficulties here, but listen, if Dane comes back, we're gonna have I'm sure he'll have a nice fancy intro video, and we'll go ahead and play it and act like it's brand new. All right, guys. How's everybody doing?
Yeah, pretty good. We had a bit of a hellish start to the week, but feeling better now. Good to be here with you guys.
I'm eating pizza, so that's why I'm not on camera. And I just got my hair cut, so it's a pretty good day for me.
Eating pizza. Where are your priorities?
The pizza is the priority. Come on.
God, food. Come on. But yeah, we definitely have some fun stuff to cover that should be fun. Wait, that's not what I want to click on. Oh, yes. Oh, okay. So yeah, I had something kind of fun to go over. It was something my daughter found, and I thought it might be fun to go over it because I just find it hilarious. You guys know who Elmo is, right?
Never heard of him.
No, Elmo. Oh, dude, he's this radical leftist figure.
All I know is he likes to tickle people, or get tickled, one or the other.
He has been spouting Marxist beliefs out online and really getting people pissed off.
Well, he is a red, literally. So
yeah. But this is just literally something my daughter found. I just thought it was hilarious. So I'm assuming this was done for Martin Luther King Day. Okay, I'm gonna try to do my best Elmo voice. It's been a moment. Elmo says Elmo knows that it's important to be kind, just like Dr. Martin Luther King. Let me go.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I mean, I was expecting a lot worse, but I think you may have a job.
He was a communist, Elmo. John Birch Society. That's a name I haven't heard in a while, by the way.
Yes. The John Birch Society. They think everyone's a communist, so
yes. Happy International Women's Day from Elmo. You have poisoned the mind of young boys for generations, vilifying masculinity and what it means. And what it means to be a man. May you and your Sesame Street become reduced to a pile of burning rubble. Up yours, vile creature. That, of course, from Andrew Tate.
The funny thing is, this would be excellent satire if they weren't real people. I love the way he says "your Sesame Street" as well. May you and your Sesame Street. I mean,
the fact that Andrew Tate is arguing with a puppet / Muppet is hilarious.
Yeah, no, it's unbelievably funny. It's like it's literally just the Muppet from Sesame Street, and these guys are supposed to. Well, Andrew Tate pretends he's not actually, but he pretends he's like peaks masculinity, and he's getting offended by fucking Elmo of all people. Oh, Elmo knows where you live. But yes, I think the next one's kind of peak. Wow, Elmo is glad he asked. Elmo learned that it's important to ask a friend how they're doing. Elmo will check in again soon, friends. Elmo loves you. # emotional well-being. Gee whiz, who would get offended at that? Oh, no. Go fuck yourself, Elmo, for wanting to discriminate against white people.
Wow. Is he still alive? Is Jordan Peterson still alive? I mean, I feel like he's been absent for like a year now.
Yeah, he's been absent for a while, and he's insane.
He's been cryogenically frozen so that those Chinese milking farms can extract their will from him.
The last thing I saw him do was that Jubilee thing where he was like 20 people surrounded him or whatever, and then like a month after that he just disappeared.
Yes.
Well, I think his daughter put out a statement saying like he got really sick and it had nothing to do with his all meat diet or his previous drug problems, that it was to do with mold in his house that he is apparently highly susceptible to.
Oh my God.
That was the last I heard, but that was a few months back. So who knows what's happened to him? This is him, though, isn't it? It's weird how none of his friends are like rallying around him or anything. All of his right-wing buddies that he'd been cozying up to for the past half decade, none of them seem to give a shit. Weird.
Yeah, that's true. Well, it's almost like it's all a grift, and they're all just in it for money, and they don't actually care about each other. Is that weird?
Yeah.
Huh. But yeah, no, I'm not gonna lie. My daughter shared those. I was like, oh my God, that is hilarious. But that is our segment, Grown Men getting offended by Muppets. By the way, there was that new Muppet special. Did you guys watch that?
I haven't watched it yet. Yeah, mixed feelings about it. Because
yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I like the originals, but also I like the fact that they are also quite imperfect. It's got that sort of 60s, 70s TV attitude of it doesn't have to be too polished. So I'm wondering if this will be certainly not going to be better than the episode where actual Luke Skywalker and C-3PO and R2-D2 showed up.
I did watch it. And I would say if you're a fan of the original Muppet Show, it's probably right up your alley. It doesn't really do anything new per se, but like it other than better picture and stuff like that. But like it's kind of just the same vibe. And they're doing kind of very similar thing.
And I know it's a point of contention, but I sort of agree with Julian Floyd in the chats. I'm not a fan of the Kermit voice, and I know there are plenty of defenders who will say that yes, the voice is different, but then so was the last guy's voice who took over from Jim Henson, and yeah, it was different, but it was also similar enough. Whereas the new guy is almost completely different from Kermit. It's jarring. It's something that I would have to get used to. But like kids watching it, obviously not going to have a problem with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I don't really have an issue with it. I think it works.
Is that an issue with things like that, though? I mean, going back as far as the real Ghostbusters, when Arsenio Hall was the original voice of Winston, and then they swapped him out, and things like that have always bothered me. So maybe it's just a me thing. But
well, I mean, it also depends. Like sometimes it'll bother me, and sometimes it doesn't. I'll admit, Kermit is one of the ones that doesn't bother me. But yeah, sometimes there'll be like a tone difference, and it'll throw me off pretty wildly. But yeah, I think it's okay. Let's see. Am I gonna get technical problems now?
Well, don't leave.
Not to jump back a little bit, but I just checked on Jordan Peterson, and it's true. He has not made any public statements or anything since last year. And there's no estimated time for him to return to the public eye. So makes you wonder what the fuck happened.
Yeah.
There's definitely something going on that I don't think is related to mold. That seems like such a weird excuse.
Well, mold is tearing us apart. Well, here's something I kind of want to discuss because I just find the psychology of this fascinating. So I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but there's a new Star Trek show. I don't know if the Chuds have caught hold of it yet. Hopefully
I had heard.
God, it's all they talk about right now. And I'm not gonna lie, I find it hilarious because like Star Trek has always been like what they would call woke. Like that's what Star Trek is. But anyway,
I did see there was a live stream from just before you get onto it. There was a live stream uploaded yesterday or the day before from our favorite non-Chud, Robert Mayer Burnett, saying that well, the title he put in his thumbnail was "Now that the left has Star Trek, only what is it? I can't even remember their name. It's the people, secular humanists. That's it. Can secular humanists save it? I'm thinking, now the left has Star Trek. There's such a weird framing of it, as if like it wasn't slightly more left leaning.
it's always been progressive. So it's like, what?
Yeah.
But they've really latched on to the idea that Jaden Cragg, the Klingon, is gay, and there have been total hints that maybe, but one thing I think is interesting is that they've decided to make this little picture, and I for me, so first of all, I think it's worth saying this never happened. This is not a scene from the show. They had to artificially create this, and in my head, I see this, and I'm like, what's in the psychology of these guys to think, oh, I need to make this. I need to see this and share this with the world so I can get offended at it. Because they're literally making something to get offended at this point.
Yeah, it's really weird that they are so straight and so comfortable with their own sexuality that they
Yes.
feel the need to fabricate a gay kiss in
Yes.
what they're already calling gay Star Trek. A show so gay that they had to make this up.
Yes, yes. But no, I just find this psychology interesting where you have to make up a scene and then get offended because that scene might exist. Although honestly, like, yeah, yeah, I don't like, yeah.
This whole thing is funny to me. The reason why it's funny to me is I don't even think they're mad at it. I don't think they're offended by this. I think it's all performative. I think it's all performative. Like, how can you be offended by something that didn't happen?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's literally they're creating this to concern troll about an issue with gay people in a series where we have alien races and all this other shit going on, and they're worried about gay people?
Yeah.
It's so pathetic.
Well, there's never been a same-sex kiss in Star Trek, right?
Yeah, never.
By the way, there's never been a same-sex kiss in Starfleet Academy yet. So.
I mean, in Voyager, they literally had two people have sex while they were salamanders and have a bunch of babies that they left on a planet. But they're worried about this. This is the problem.
Kind of an offshoot, but I am so disappointed they never did a Lower Decks episode where they revisit those salamander babies.
Oh yeah, that would have been funny.
That would have been amazing.
Perhaps we're actually missing the point here. Perhaps they're not being horribly homophobic. Perhaps they're being horribly racist, and it's the interracial kiss that they object to. Just like the Chuds back in the
right, yeah.
1960s.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically like Chris Gore's suggestion, isn't it? He wants the same sort of attitude they had in the 60s, where the show just wasn't shown in the South. He wants it parceled off so that the straights don't have to see it.
This is 100% AI. They just put the picture in and
fake.
said make them kiss, and that's all it did.
Yeah. And you're right. It might just be because it's different races. Because we got a Klingon here, and then we got a Kyonian here. So completely different races, But yeah,
and technically, I mean, if you want to be like honest about it, gay wouldn't even apply once you leave Earth, because it's very specific to the sexual binary that we have here on Earth. Which means once you leave the gender roles and the binary of sex that we have here, the term wouldn't apply to this relationship because neither one of these characters are Earthlings.
And we like even in like TNG, I don't know if they did really so much in TOS, but TNG did introduce the idea of aliens having different genders than we're used to. So the gender norms we're used to out there are going to be completely different. Even more so than what Star Trek does it. Although Star Trek definitely dips its toes into it.
I mean, I think it's okay to do allegory, but to basically claim it's gay is, I mean, you're willing to believe all of these other different societal differences in all of these races throughout space, but then you have to apply a label that we have here on Earth for sexuality. It just doesn't, like, does that mean that everyone has Ponfar? Is that just something that's applied to everybody? You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm talking about. It just doesn't make any sense from a biological standard.
Well, yeah, I mean, going back to like Voyager, Torres was half human, half Klingon. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you can go back into the Spock was half human, half Vulcan. Apparently they're okay with two completely different species, or actually not species, but intergalactic races, interbreeding in ways that definitely defy God, because the Bible does not say that man can lie down with a Vulcan.
Right.
What?
So the issue they have here is that, and I said this on my video, none of these characters have said explicitly that they are gay, that they're homosexual, they're bisexual. None of them has said that, because to be quite honest, it doesn't make sense for them to narrow it down that way in the future. And to assume that these characters are gay ignores any sort of sexual fluidity that they might have within their own species. We don't know what that is. What if we have a character that can shift back and forth between a quote unquote male and female biology to the point where it's a unnoticeable change? Literally, they can be a man or a woman in gender, or male and female in biology, and you wouldn't know the difference, right?
Well, here's one for you.
Yeah.
Jadzia Dax. Is it gay if she kisses a woman
Right.
or a man?
Right. These are the questions that you would have to ask, but these people are too stupid to even think of it that way. Everything for them has to be dumbed down in the most laziest way possible. They don't need to watch Star Trek, because they can't even understand what they're watching, to be quite honest.
Yeah,
That's true.
The whole point of Star Trek was exploring these deep, complex issues about humanity through the lens of sci-fi space fantasy.
It's literally too smart for you, bros. Like, just tap out. You don't get it. You don't get it.
So as I was saying, with Jadzia Dax, a character that is a female and a male at the same time because of the parasitic relationship, what sexuality would it be with that?
And Ryan also probably had relationships with different races and different species of all types throughout their lives. Mm-hmm. Because I don't even think they would be a gender. It would be a they. They would be, this symbiotic being would be a they.
Yeah. I mean,
probably,
there's a perfect example of what a they would be in Star Trek, is this character that is two characters, essentially.
Well, actually, their chromosomes and their SRY gene was blah, blah, blah. Like, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? That's what they would do. They would try and look at it that way.
I mean, I remember even when I was a teenager watching Deep Space Nine and thinking, even back then in the 90s while it was on, thinking to myself, the way Trill Society functions, I imagine from our perspective, it'd be a lot of bisexuality. A lot.
Oh, yeah. Well, but my point would be, like, to what you're saying, Bob, is, we might look at it as even pansexuality or something like that. More accurate, yeah. But to them, that word wouldn't be necessary, because they probably don't think of sexuality that way, if that makes any sense. Yeah. Imagine you live in a society where everyone is capable of being in a relationship with each other without any sort of restrictions. Then you wouldn't have names for sexuality. It wouldn't exist, because there would be no need for it. Just like the fact we wouldn't have a reason to call something heterosexual if everything was just on the table. Then everybody would theoretically be pansexual, and then pansexual wouldn't matter. The word wouldn't mean anything at that point. So that's why when we start talking about this stuff, it's a lot deeper than, two guys were kissing and so it must be gay. Like, that conversation doesn't even make sense.
No.
I mean, how do you gender the shapeshifters? Obviously, because it's a real person playing him. Odo is ostensibly male, but also he's a puddle of water.
Male!
He lives in a bowl. Like, that's where he lives.
Lives in a bucket. So, what gender is that bucket of shapeshifter fluid?
It's such a weird argument to have, and it's such a strange thing for them to get stuck on. And they're grifting hard on this. This is probably their biggest grift right now is Starfleet Academy. They're really, really, really going after the show.
And
and I can't.
Oh, go ahead, Ryan.
I can't remember. I think I've just said this on Discord, but it's because they've got nothing else.
No, there's nothing else.
There's
Night of the Seven Kingdoms is a unarguably good show. It's really hard to pick that show apart. I did say on my stream that if Dunk were a woman, they would have every reason to go after it. But since Dunk is a white guy, cisgender, they have no reason to go after it. There's not enough diversity in that show Think about it. Like there's the one character that was diverse, spoiler alert, got hurt a couple episodes back, and now we're probably not going to see her again, at least not for a while. Because I think she left and went to another part of the world. So that character's gone. Everybody else is white and mostly men. So there's not a lot to complain about. This is the only show they have at the moment. It's the only thing.
It's the paradise that Critical Drinker lived for.
Yeah. They got what they wanted. They got what they wanted.
A society of mostly men with huge dicks.
Oh my god.
That shit behind trees.
So just going back to Starfleet Academy, although Night of the Seven Kingdoms is awesome, but Starfleet Academy, one of the things I want to talk about, point I want to make, Jaden Cragg, he's not a typical Klingon. That's established in the 4th episode, which is my favorite so far. But it's worth pointing out that that's pretty much Star Trek's bread and butter. People who don't quite fit into the mold. Spock is not your typical Vulcan. Worf isn't even your typical Klingon. Odo is not your typical fascist shapeshifter. So many characters in Star Trek just don't fit the mold that they're expected to. Right. Just like Jaden Cragg. So like, yeah, he's pretty much your typical Star Trek character. But yeah, I just want to make that point.
It's a good point.
Yeah, I mean the whole premise of the show is that it's people originally who are not typically on TV in the roles that they were in.
Mm-hmm.
You got the Russian, who introduced later on, but still having a Russian on board that spacecraft at that time was unthinkable.
Yeah, it was making a statement. Heck, back in the day, they did the they did the episode where they actually fought Nazis, like literal Nazis. And even back then, it was a bit questionable to be doing that because it wasn't that far away from World War II. And yeah, they still did.
Well,
that.
like I said, the Chuds have got absolutely
let's
nothing. The Chuds have got absolutely nothing, so they have to fix it on Star Trek Academy, Starfleet Academy, because as Eric said, the Game of Thrones is doing well. Fallout. That second series.
Yeah, they ignored Fallout. There's a lot of stuff they could have
Yeah.
gone after in Fallout, but they didn't. They ignored it because it was well received, so they ignored it.
Yeah. Yep. So the other thing, a couple other things I pulled up. Real quick, I guess, because the video's up here, it's unrelated. But yeah, James Van Der Beek died, I guess, earlier today.
Oh yeah, R.I.P. I noticed the last few times we saw him, he looked really bad,
unhealthy. Yeah,
and I wasn't sure what was wrong because they weren't being completely upfront about everything. But yeah, when I was getting my haircut, did I mention I got a haircut today? So I was getting my haircut today. They had this on the TV, and I was like, oh my god, because it popped up like on the TV, and I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it either, but yeah, last couple times I've seen him, he did not look healthy. So wasn't expecting it, but wasn't completely shocked too. But yeah, it's still wild. He's not that much older than me. It's like, what the fuck?
I do want to. Can I pull up a comment very quickly here from Bob?
Oh, yeah.
Like I said, a socially awkward Klingon who wants to be a doctor instead of a warrior is inherently interesting. If he's also gay, shrug. I want to point out it's noticeable to me that we get the first Klingon that isn't necessarily a warrior, because even other Klingons that we've gotten have been still tied heavily to their warrior lineage and that background. The first one we get that isn't inherently a killing machine, and they're like, oh, he must be gay. What does that say about them? That they're immediately like, he doesn't want to kill people, he must be a gay dude. Like,
well, I mean, I would absolutely argue the first Klingon we got that wasn't inherently a warrior was Alexander.
Yeah, that's true.
He did eventually kind of try to embrace it more, but it didn't really work. But
like Alexander also did. There was still an anger in him, though. He still had that rage that Klingons have. We haven't seen that totally from Jaden yet. So, anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. But yeah, going over before we got distracted by James Van Der Beek. So, rock musicians request music be removed from Melania's documentary. Have you guys seen the hit documentary Melania?
I never want to see it.
It looks so good. It looks so... It's directed by someone who definitely doesn't have pictures with Jeffrey Epstein. It's great. So apparently Melania documentary, and I want to stress, most expensive documentary ever made. $40 million budget, $35 million on marketing. they pumped money into
Well,
it. They're not
and
gonna get it back.
also I think the largest amount of money a person was paid to make a documentary about them, because Melania was paid for the documentary.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but apparently they decided to cheap out on the music. So that apparently Radiohead's Johnny Greenwood and director Paul Thomas Anderson have requested the removal of their music from the film. From film Phantom Thread from Melania. Yeah.
Yeah, I did hear it. I only caught the sort of beginnings of this story. They score from another film and didn't think they'd needed to pay for it.
Yeah, I think they were hoping nobody would notice. It's like, guys, you're putting $35 million into marketing this thing. It's gonna get out there. I just find it absolutely fucking bizarre that they would pump this much money into the documentary and not think, hey, let's maybe, throw $20,000 at a composer and have him make music.
Well, didn't we? I don't know if it was over here. I do so many streams now, I don't remember. But I think we talked about the fact that this is literally a like kissing of the ring from Jeff Bezos to Trump. So I don't think they cared about any of this other stuff. They just needed to get it out so they could justify giving the money to Melania. Because even though Melania got that money, trust and believe that money was for Trump. That was money for Trump.
Oh yeah.
So I think they just wanted to hurry up and get it out, and that's kind of where we're at now with this, honestly.
No, I just find. Oh, go ahead, Ryan.
If you want to hear possibly the best review of a film I've ever heard, everyone should check out Mark Kermode's review of Melania. It is eviscerating from start to finish.
Did he actually review it?
Yes, he did. Yeah. They received an offer of a donation to a charity of their choice if he would review it, and he did. And he said it was only him and two others in the screening because, unsurprisingly, very few people over here are interested in it at all. In fact, the number of people over here that are interested in it is probably the same of number of people who are legitimately interested in it in the US and that are not being bought in and paid off. But do we have a Dane?
Am I audible?
Yes,
you are.
Yes, you are. Yeah.
Hell yeah! Does it sound like complete shit or what?
It's a little shitty, but it's functional.
Well, I'm on my phone. I apologize.
Phone microphones suck.
Yep. Well, hopefully I won't have to be on it next time. But yeah, man, I could not figure out how to get my shit working today. I don't know what the hell happened. But anyway, what are you guys not talking about? What kind of bullshit's going on?
We are just finishing up talking about the Melania soundtrack, the artists removing their music from the soundtrack.
Oh. Did they, they could have just replaced it with their new musical hero, Kid Rock, and like that song that he had that one time on Osmosis Jones.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Well, funnily enough, one of the points that Mark Kermode makes in his review is that they use needle drops without being completely aware of the intention of the song. So at one point they use the Rolling Stones' Gimme Shelter, and there's certain lyrics within that song that are very appropriate for the documentary without them realizing.
It's like a habit with these people, right? Like Rage Against the Machine and stuff like that. They like fundamentally can't comprehend that songs mean other things besides the obvious thing. Like,
well, even that's the trouble though with "Gimme Shelter." It's the obvious thing. There's the repeated lyric of "rape, murder" over scenes of Trump, which is just perfect.
It's brilliant, actually.
I mean, maybe she was maybe trying to make like an anti-Trump little protest video or something.
Yeah, coded signal.
Yep.
And don't worry, we'll get there. We got a couple things to cover, but
I imagine she's like, I know y'all are just moving off of this, but I just I bet she's like secretly, or maybe not even secretly, just like, I hope this shit takes him down because I want my money and I want out of this shit. You know what I mean? Because she almost certainly she's the lucky one, I think, based on what we can tell about how she was introduced to Trump and everything via Epstein, it seems like, and a modeling company. Like, that's the lucky version of what all the other unlucky girls experience. That, you know what I mean? That went through this trafficking ring. So, like, if Trump hadn't taken a liking to her or whatever, then I imagine she could have just ended up like any of these other little young girls that are were trafficking stuff. So I don't know.
Yes.
Yay, trafficking conversations.
And all it cost was her soul.
That's all it cost.
Yeah, it's magical. Well, speaking of right-wing music, did you guys go see Kid Rock's lip sync extravaganza?
Yeah, Bob, I shared in chat. I don't know if you saw that Drive link that I shared. There's plenty of links in there. There's a couple of them about the Kid Rock thing. There's one from him performing another time recently. It's just like, yeah, it's all embarrassing. Yeah. I watched some of it.
Mm-hmm.
So
he denies it's lip syncing. I'll attempt to do a little clip that won't get us claimed, but like you can look at it and see. Well, actually,
hot take. I believe him. I think he's telling the truth. But doesn't mean that it's good because so I watched the clip of him talking about it.
It might just be technical issues, but
it is. But I mean, it's still you're also just Kid Rock and you're terrible. But like that's not the lip syncing. It does look like lip syncing when that's not what was happening. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like he did a stream or a little video yesterday or whatever where it's like a coke video. Go ahead, sorry.
Okay, let me go ahead and pull this up. But yeah, you can definitely see. Yeah, something's not right with that.
So I can tell you what it is. So he did a video, and I think he's telling the truth. Where he had on the DJ that was on the stage with him, and just like with any hip hop artist, rapper, they're going to have a hype man. That one of the main functions of the hype man is to allow the main guy to breathe basically, and like especially when he's on stage jumping around. And they displayed how he was singing the lyrics, and then at very specific spots he stops singing at the end of a line, and then the DJ finishes off the line. The problem was that they were not cutting to the DJ ever. They never showed the DJ actually doing this. So it just looks like he's up there, just lip syncing. Oh. I mean, maybe he was lip syncing as well, but I mean, like that is a valid thing. But I mean, the problem doesn't come from them not editing it right. However, I want to point out this was fucking edited and it was not live, and they still couldn't get the edit right. To yeah. They edited it, they sent it to him, and he okayed it, and then they fucking, played it on national TV. So like, it's still his fault, ultimately. But yeah.
I mean, they've got footage of all the other. Obviously, there's multiple cameras there, so who on earth edited that and did think, I should probably cut away to one of the other pieces of footage we got?
Well, because they had to get their money's worth for those 200 extras that they paid for.
Well, cut to them. Cut to them.
Did you guys see that?
What's the audience, man?
No, I saw pictures of the stage with the people around it. It's literally a ghost town. It is set up specifically to make it look like it's full of people, and that's
probably why the editing was like that, was because they had to be careful not to show certain angles. You know what I mean? It'll be like, oh shit, there's only 40 people there.
Why not just have it as a live concert? That's what Bad Bunny did. That's what the halftime show was.
And it was fucking way better.
Live concert.
I do not care for the kind of music that Bad Bunny does, but that fucking performance was awesome, dude. I was like, God damn it, this is good.
Big Fieldy brings this up. Yeah, one of the worst people ever, Candace Owens, proved, but beyond a shadow of a doubt, there's like 11-minute video that they botted this performance. That they botted it 100%.
Oh, they said Prosobiec was saying they were going to do it, or that they were going to do what he called view maxing before the show. He was on Twitter saying, we need to just everybody have multiple screens watching this shit. And it's like, oh, you're just giving it away then. Okay. They had several ways that they tried to overinflate or inflate this shit, and it still lost to the Puppy Bowl.
Yes, exactly. I also want to point out that I think it was somebody on Fox, one of the blonde Fox ladies, said something along the lines of, it was watched in X amount of households, and that doesn't count the people that were actually in the room. And I'm thinking, how stupid are you when there are bars full of people watching the Super Bowl, probably packed to the brim with 100, 200 people in there watching it, and it counts as one view because they're watching it on one channel, but you're acting like that doesn't matter and that there's so many other people that watch the Kid Rock performance that we're supposed to include them. It's just dumb. It's all fucking stupid.
I think it was the Super Bowl halftime got 129 million viewers.
Yeah.
And then this had who knows how much it really had.
Well, it was like 6 million, I think, at the end is when they said it. But somebody commented because when the first numbers came in, they said it looked like it had made more than like previous years. It was like a record-breaking one. Still up in the top like 5 most watched of all time. But the thing is, it didn't have to be a record breaker. It just had to be this piece of shit, and it did by a lot. So I don't care that it didn't break any records. It still got more viewers than this garbage. They were talking like this was going to be the big thing, that everybody was going to be watching this. Your headliner is Kid Rock. He sang 2 songs.
Yes.
One of them is about doing meth, and the other one was a cover of somebody else's music, and he was the headliner. Please make it make sense.
Yep.
Please make it
I mean, most of his biggest hits are just somebody else's song that he just like. It's not even a sample. You know, like the one that's, I don't know what song it is, but it's Sad But True by Metallica is the music. And it's just that music the whole way through. It's like not even sampling. It's like, what the fuck are you doing?
He could have just sang the song from Osmosis Jones about young ladies.
Yeah,
young ladies.
well, I know that there are a lot of MAGA folks would have really appreciated that one. I think.
I love that song is not mentioned by anybody that supports him at all. Like they completely ignore it. But it is one of the most disgusting set of lyrics I've ever heard.
If he wants it statutory, that's mandatory. You know.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, we did see a comment up here. I know, Dane, you had you shared your drive to the group chat and Discord for us to use.
Yeah,
does that have the Comics Explained stuff in, or
I think that's the only one that I did not download in time before I realized that I was having problems with my equipment. So you just go to YouTube and watch that one if you want.
Okay, whenever we get to it, I just wanted to make sure I commented on that.
Well, what I didn't realize, Eric, which is something I found out, I think, from your coverage on your stream, is how much the Chuds were going up against the Super Bowl. How much they were saying that it was a complete flop.
Yeah.
That like half as many people watched it this year.
Has anybody? I mean, I know you guys have, but like if you're watching this, man, you haven't recognized the pattern yet. What the fuck is wrong with you? So look at Rippaverse. Look at whatever happened to the Epicverse. By the way, all these things that are promoted, they're so hyped up by this little corner of the internet of MAGA folks that are like, it's going to be the biggest thing. It's going to be blow out all these Hollywood bullshit or whatever it is in any context, and it's always the same thing over and over again. And then it just peters out if it even fucking takes off in the first place. I'll give credit to Eric July for his first comic sales. Other than that, it just petered out and continues to. And just over and over again, man. It's a fucking grift. It's a scam. And if you're falling for it, you're kind of a fool.
Well, like what Ryan was saying about people like choosing sides and all this culture war stuff, you have people, legitimate people on the right who have said the Super Bowl thing is the dumbest thing. It's the dumbest argument they've ever made, which they've made a lot of dumb arguments, but I'll let them have that one. But you have people like Nick Fuentes. Keep in mind, we all know about Nick Fuentes, who literally said he's no longer a white nationalist because of the Super Bowl. He's like, I don't associate with these people. I'm not playing political games over everything. I don't give a fuck about the Super Bowl. I don't give a fuck about somebody speaking Spanish. I don't give a fuck about Bad Bunny. Like he did like a 10-minute rant about how this particular thing, the Super Bowl thing, he called it losers and idiots, is what he said. It's a bunch of losers and idiots. And I'm like, look, I'm literally not a Nick Fuentes fan at all. I think he's a piece of shit garbage human being.
Yeah.
But he's at the infighting shows that this concerted effort they're making to push this messaging isn't vibing with everybody. And I know we're not going to talk about it today because we've got this stuff with Ernie to talk about and Rob. But today there was a hearing with Pam Bondi that
I've got videos in that drive for that, by the way. We can check some of that out. I'd be happy to.
Like,
there's a couple of clips.
She looked like a complete and total idiot. And there are people I see right now on Twitter, people on the right saying she needs to resign now. She called a Jewish woman whose mothers and fathers and family were in the Holocaust an anti-Semite.
Jesus Christ.
She came off so crazy, just in the few clips I've seen. Like
when Thomas Massey sorry, go ahead, Ryan.
She looks as if she's one of these sort of MAGA people that the comedy shows make fun of, because her incoherent, completely out of left field responses to their questions. I mean, it was bizarre.
She perjured herself too a couple times.
I think if you say Trump derangement syndrome unironically in Congress, you should be banned from public office for life. And she did.
And also, they were asking her basic questions, and unless you were a Republican, she deflected. It didn't matter what the question was. It was just deflecting it. Like if they would say, hey, this piece of paper that we were supposed to get, is there any idea when we're going to get it? Well, do you know the people in the constituents that work for you are all criminals and you do this? It's like, it's just
literally, here's a list of here's a list of the people that you were sent this list to make sure to redact these names. Okay, make sure you redact these names because they are victims, right? That is literally in the letter of the law that was signed, that Trump fucking signed, right? And then what do? They redact one name and leave all of the rest of them unredacted. That's obviously intentional. It's fucking clearly on purpose, done for whatever fucking intimidation reasons or just petty reasons they did it. And it's like, she didn't even answer that. She's just like, oh, you've got Trump derangement syndrome.
She's not going to resign, but she's going to be held accountable for all of this, 100%.
I mean, she's the head of the Department of Justice. Why on earth is she talking about the stock market?
Because they have nothing. Because here's the thing. I noticed when I was watching today, I only got to watch a little bit of it, but I noticed that the Republicans were doing this almost pre-established dialogue with her, like giving her an opportunity to just praise Trump and suck his dick for everything. And they were doing that. And when she got time to talk to the Democrats who were actually asking her questions about things the Department of Justice should be doing, she literally deflected, and the chairperson that's supposed to be running, I think there's a couple of different ones back and forth there that were doing it, allowed her to just not answer the questions. They just allowed her not to answer. It was the dumbest, most corrupt looking hearing I've seen in a long time. And
it was bad.
Like, she literally, the Department of Justice should not be kowtowing to the president.
The whole point, from my understanding, maybe I'm a crazy foreigner here, but the whole point of the DOJ, isn't it supposed to be independent of the president?
It is, and there was a time when there was controversy. If the president and the attorney general even met, even they showed up in the same room, they were not supposed to interact with each other. It was considered highly controversial. But because of Trump now, everyone that's supposed to be separate from him is literally part of his board meetings. The attorney general, not supposed to be associating with the president that way. It's crazy. It's fucking crazy. Yeah, Jim Jordan was one. There was someone else there before him, though I didn't recognize the guy. But yeah, Jim Jordan was also there at one point. But one thing I can tell is MAGA is falling apart. It is happening. Like I said, there's people on the right calling for a resignation. There are people saying that this was the most unserious performance they've ever seen. There's a lot of stuff. Like, he is losing support so heavily. Matter of fact, there's supposed to be somebody resigning either this week or next week that would literally flip the House. There's a Republican that's ready to leave that would flip the House, and it would no longer give Republicans a majority.
That's crazy. We're going to flip the House before we even have the election. That's nuts.
100%. 100% we will. Because I don't think they're the last person. I don't think it's.
I just shared that video, by the way. For some reason, it's now letting me share videos at least. So don't. By the way, ignore the other me that's in here. That one's the one's not going to work. So.
Okay.
No evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime. Everyone knows that. This has been the most transparent presidency.
I'm going to put up another document from a witness who called the FBI's National Threat Operations Center because I believe you just lied under oath. There is ample evidence in the Epstein file.
Don't you ever accuse me of a crime.
I believe you just lied under oath, and this is on video.
She sounds so tough.
You said there's no evidence of a crime. I'm showing you. Here is a witness statement who called into the
She
FBI's
called it a lie. Did you hear that?
Operations
She
Center.
said it's a lie. How do you know? You've not investigated it. Did you hear that? Run it back. She says under her breath, oh, it's a lie. I
just learned, by the way, that I didn't even know this, that they did not investigate his New Mexico ranch at all.
No.
Just at all.
Nope.
That's crazy.
This is on videotape. You said there's no evidence of a crime. I'm showing you. Here is a witness statement who called into the FBI's threat.
Oh, and hello, Chariot.
Hey, Chariot.
Operations Center.
Hello.
He drove Donald Trump around in a limo. He overheard what Donald Trump said to Jeffrey on his cell phone. He was so angry, he was going to stop the limo and hurt.
Oh, I've been meaning to do this for a moment. We got over 115 people watching on all our channels. Guys, make sure to like and subscribe to all the channels. Make sure to give some love. Leave a comment. You know the drill.
Donald Trump. And he met a girl who said she was raped by Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. She later had her head blown off, and officers at the scene said that
this
could
needs
not
to
have
be
been
investigated.
Suicide. No one at the Department of Justice interviewed this witness. You need to interview this witness immediately. Epstein should rot in hell, so should the men who patronized his operation.
Yep.
And as we say here today, there are over 1,000 trafficking victims, and you have not held a single man accountable. Shame on you. If you had any decency, you would resign right after this hearing.
So
Yeah.
I want to point out that it's not the issue that these things happened and that people didn't know about them, right? That's bad enough. But the issue is the Department of Justice, the department that's supposed to go after these things, they're not investigating this stuff. Anything that has Trump attached to it or anybody in Trump's orbit attached to it, it's literally just not being investigated. And I know she tried to deflect and say, well, you didn't say this to Merrick Garland. You didn't say it to this person, that person. You guys, Pam Bondi and your admin, people elected you because you ran on transparency for this specific issue. So stop saying that we didn't do anything before. That's literally why people voted for you.
I'm pretty sure that having her head blown off, no, she's not alive, unfortunately.
No, the limo guy. I got to be honest. The limo story, I did see it prior to this. It's not entirely credible, but I still probably want to ask him a couple of questions. And the fact that the FBI didn't interview him at all is just crazy, because it's such the level of what he's saying is so horrific.
Yeah,
at least deserves to sit down with him.
It just baffles me. Like, if you go in and you're like, hey, if you elect me, I will go in and fix all of these problems. And then you elect me, and a year later, the problem still exists. And I'm like, well, why didn't you bother to harass the other guy when these problems were happening? Like, that's literally why they were elected. Like, they're playing in their constituents' faces. They're playing in their voters' faces and being completely unserious about all this. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. They voted for you because they didn't like Merrick Garland. They voted for you because they didn't like all of these other people that were there before. And then you get into your office, you cover it up, and all you do is go, well, they didn't do anything either.
Well, I mean, it's like what Thomas Massey says. It's like whenever she brings it up to him, he's like, yeah, this, that goes. It doesn't go back to just Biden. It goes back to Obama. It goes back to Bush W. It maybe, I mean, technically, I mean, obviously, it goes back to Clinton to some degree. And it's like, I mean, yeah, we don't just give up on pursuing things that matter because somebody didn't do it already. You know what I mean? Like, you don't just get to go, oh, well, they didn't, it's just such a fucking, like an immature child's response to any kind of accountability.
And guess what? If you really cared about justice and you had the opportunity to completely embarrass the last guy who was doing your job, who was a Democrat, why on earth wouldn't you pursue this?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing is, if they came in, this is the last thing I'm gonna say about it. It just baffles me. But if you came into office and you actually went after all of the Epstein people like you said you were going to do, I would have no reason to criticize you for it. Matter of fact, I would just be like, they're doing the shit they promised they were doing. Like, that's what they're doing. They're going after them. And I applaud that. Go after the Clintons. But if you're going to go after the Clintons, go after Trump. Go after Nutlick. Go after all of these guys. If you're going to go after one person in the file, go after all the people in the file. All of them. That's all I would ask. Like,
it's
if
crazy
they were doing that, I would have no criticism of it.
It's crazy how, like, they literally are afraid of things that don't happen and like, panic about everything, all kinds of shit that's just not even real. And then whenever there's, like, evidence of something actually being an issue, it's like, yeah, whatever.
You've got the largest sex trafficking ring possibly ever in front of you, and you're like, but the stock market, look at the stock market, look how good that's doing. We don't give a fuck. We've had an up and down stock market for a year now. We don't give a fuck. We want people held accountable for all of this awful shit. We're finally getting to see it. We got just a portion of it. There are people like Lauren Boebert who is disgusted by what she saw in these files. There are Republicans going in now and getting the unredacted information, and they are absolutely disgusted. People who are diehard MAGA coming out and going, we need to investigate these people. We need to prosecute these people. That doesn't happen when there's nothing there. It doesn't happen when it's a hoax. When you have people that were on your side up until the point that they got to see the shit that you said that there was nothing there, and there actually is something there, and they start going, hey, this is not good. We should probably do something about this. When you have the true believers saying that, and you have people like Marjorie Taylor Greene resigning from her position, resigning from office over this, it's a big deal. And they know it is. That's why Pam Bondi wouldn't answer any questions. She deflected every single Epstein question.
And you can tell that's their tactic for any time that they're dragged in front of Congress. That's what clearly Trump has told them. That's what they've all agreed on doing. Let's just like fucking clam up, don't say anything. And then you have Ghislaine Maxwell, yesterday saying that she pled the fifth the whole time. The whole thing. Anytime the Republicans bring somebody in front of it, it's just a fucking clown show. It's all for performative sake. They don't actually ask anything that matters. They don't get any questions answered. It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, I do want to answer a super chat quickly before we.
Oh yeah, we did get one. Yes.
Cosmic Reader here for the 99 super chat. Thank you for being here and thank you for the super chat. So proud of the Latin American representation of the Super Bowl, but you know what would have been a funny way to piss off MAGA next year? K-pop in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I'm down for it.
Yeah,
100%. Sure. I love K-pop. I love 50/50. I love Cat's Eye. I love all those bands. They're all great, and even Huntrix. I know they're not real, but I guess they are real. They're real people, but it's a band from us. Oh, do you Soda Pop? Yeah. No, absolutely. And the thing is, they tried to say it was disgusting and that it was promoted gay people when there's literally a heterosexual wedding in the fucking show.
That's so crazy.
The weirdest thing for me was all the complaints that it wasn't in English. It's like, are you not familiar with what music is? Like,
also, you're not familiar that Lady Gaga did an entire song in English in the
well, that too.
But the other thing is, somebody made a good point. They said, would you call someone here from Argentina or Italy or something and then force them to sing their songs in English because they're in America? Or say, for example, one of their favorites, Kid Rock, goes over to Germany. Is he then forced to perform all of his music in German? These complaints make no sense at all. They make no sense whatsoever.
I just think back to when they had that ridiculous FIFA Peace Prize ceremony and they had Andrea Bocelli singing in Italian. They weren't complaining then. Trump was there not complaining.
Well, I mean, because it's obvious that all of this shit is just as with anything they do. It's just distraction from the stuff that really matters, and that's what's stuff that was going on today. Is what matters, and holding this administration accountable, not letting, even if we can't literally hold Bondi or Trump accountable right now, we can't fucking just stop talking about this stuff.
What's funny, Dane, is they knew these hearings were coming up. And if you think about it, if you want to put your tinfoil hat on, is it possible that they stirred up all this drama about the Super Bowl just to hide the news cycle for the hearings that are happening this week? Because
I would put money on it. At this point, what we know by now of learning about this stuff and looking into these guys that we've looked into all these years, I'd put money on it.
Yeah, they still don't know that Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory. I saw them saying deport Bad Bunny.
So literally, like, somebody was, I don't remember what, but it was a Facebook group, and I was commenting, somebody was like, oh, they should have an American, do the super the halftime show. And I said, well, Bad Bunny is a U.S. citizen. And the first reply I got was, dude, you need to look it up. Bad Bunny isn't a U.S. citizen. He's born and raised in Puerto Rico. And I was just like, you know nothing.
Wow.
But
no, I mean, they're citizens, but they aren't represented, and they are taxed. So it's a whole. We really just need to make a mistake, honestly.
Well, actually, Puerto Rico they've done the votes multiple times, and I know essentially they've come close, but they've consistently voted against going to statehood.
Okay.
There are reasons. I remember researching it years ago. I don't remember exactly what, but there are reasons not to go into statehood. That being said, if Bad Bunny were to leave Puerto Rico and go to any state, then he's just a normal citizen. But I would also say the issue of Puerto Rico, like for national elections mainly, all the territories, for national elections, at least for president, their votes kind of don't count.
I also say that Afrobeats, bring some African into it. That would be great. Mm-hmm. Did we want to talk about the stuff with Comics Explained? If we have that ready, I guess.
Yeah, I got downloaded.
Okay, I didn't know if you had anything specific. I was like, well,
we just did
the video.
Yeah, so Space and Goats with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much. They stirred things up when it was announced about Bad Bunny. I don't like saying everything is racist. everything like the racism is a cover up for Epstein. I don't like saying that either, but I think you have to understand they don't see it like that. Like they don't look at it like we need to make a racist controversy. They're just like, what can we do in our controversy to cover up something else? So when Trump tweets out something racist, it could be because he's a racist, or it could be because he's a racist and he was trying to cover something up.
I actually have a theory about that racist thing that he tweeted the other day, what that was about. Because if you looked into it, that was actually attached to the end of another video.
It wasn't even the video they were saying it was. It was a separate little clip.
The video that was a fucking fake news, bullshit about elections being rigged in 2020. I suspect that maybe, I don't know if he thought of it or if somebody else did, or maybe it's just coincidence, but like that being the thing that got attention, basically that was left up for like 12, 18 hours or something like that. So anytime somebody wanted to go look at whatever Trump posted, they were going to go see that video that's literally lying about elections being rigged in 2020. So I think that's kind of part of just like laying the groundwork for what he's going to try and do in 26 or 28 or both, which is canceling elections.
I saw this too. Yeah,
I saw that as well.
The news flash: the White House doesn't get to decide what people talk about, what they don't talk about. That's the beauty of it. So they may want to stay quiet about it, but I can guarantee you, based on what happened at the hearing today on Capitol Hill, we're not seeing the end of this Epstein thing. It's just getting started. So,
although I have also heard that people are now referring to Epstein's Island as Kid Rock.
Holy shit, that's awesome. Oh my god. I mean, it's terrible, but it's awesome.
God, no.
I was going to say earlier, somebody said about, Kid Rock wouldn't perform in German if he went to Germany. But I actually would prefer to hear his music in the original German. I think it would be more authentic.
yeah.
Well, on a similar note, obviously we've got our own scandals revolving Epstein here, and Private Eye magazine is referring to the Peter Mandelson scandal as the Peter Files.
Oh my god!
So,
I mean, yeah, the fact that this is actually possibly taking down governments around the world and like taking down royal family, members and shit like that, and then we're not even able to. Yeah, it's not good. It's pretty frustrating.
No,
but yeah, I got that video loaded up if you want to check it out. And I figured that watching the video is the way to go because,
it's explained much better in Ernie's video.
And I don't think any of us are qualified to kind of comment on some of the things that Ernie comments on. Though I support what he says. So.
Ernie sort of comic explains in his video, so.
Yeah, Ernie comics explains.
I'm gonna have a very hard conversation about what is objectively YouTube's biggest comic book content creator. Let's talk about it. So you guys have probably already heard the news by now. I'm sure it's already made the rounds and the drama has already ensued. But yes, YouTube's biggest comic book content creator has been called, and not only has he been called, he's been called by me. Here's the thing that I want to put up front about this and what this video is about and what it's not about. For one, I don't care that Rob doesn't cover black hair.
Real quick, sub to both channels. I'm not sure if you talk about our stream, but there's like 5 channels. There's 5 channels being.
You might be talking about Comics Explained and Blurred.
Oh, maybe, yeah. I might be subscribed to both of them too, although I haven't looked.
I think I'm still subscribed to Comics Explained.
I'm not. I unsubscribed from Rob last year sometime.
I just haven't done it yet based on this. But like after this, I'm done with it. Like just a little background. Like Rob was the first YouTuber that I ever subscribed to and started following ever. So like for the longest time, all I did was like look at music videos and movie trailers on YouTube, and then I found a Rob Comics Explained video. I was like, holy shit, this is cool. And I subscribed. I started watching the shit out of it. This is like in 2015 or something. And he was the first. That was the first time I was like, maybe I can do this one day. Maybe I can talk about comics on YouTube or whatever, right? And that's the start of my journey, right? And then years later, I just kind of got to the point where, first of all, I get tired of his kind of hack presentation about comics.
Yeah,
got a little old. But other than that, I saw he was pretty harmless, except that every once in a while he has some pretty dumb takes. Like when he said that he thinks like Lucasfilm and Marvel should have a panel of YouTubers that they hire to like tell them
that was so dumb.
This is what you do with it. I was like, that's a bad take, Rob. You know, and just, you know, full disclosure, Ernie, I consider him a friend. He's, you know, one of the first, you know, larger platform guys that I ever got on my channel to talk with me. And every time I've had a conversation with him, he's one of my favorite people to talk to. I love the way he represents comics. I love what he brings to the fandom. And yeah. So.
Here, I'll go ahead and show what I've just done real quick. Oh, wait, I guess here. We'll return Ernie real fast, but here, I went ahead and pulled up Comics Explained, and yes, I am subscribed, and we will fix that right.
Yeah, now. Likewise, I'll do that.
All right.
On his channel during Black History Month. I don't even really care that Rob doesn't cover black characters on his channel unless it's convenient for him, or you know, there's some algorithmic gain he can get out of it, because that's honestly a lot of the reason why he does what he does. Money motivates Rob more than anything else. Let's just keep it a buck. I don't care about any of that. That's actually not why I agreed with the sentiment that he was. And there's actually a misconception about why people think I called Rob a. There's actually even some misconception on Rob's part as to why I called him a. And for anyone who was wondering, yes, I have actually spoken with Rob in the time that all this has gone on. I actually tried to reach out to him before I made my statement publicly defending him from allegations of such, and he kind of blew off the whole thing as if it didn't really matter, or he didn't really actually care. Like, he literally chuckled it off with like, oh, LOL. Let's get that out of the way first. And after I defended him from allegations of because he does not, you know, quotey fingers, represent or support black characters, evidence to the contrary came out of the woodwork, so to speak. In a Threads post that I put up.
So real quick, this is one of the things that Ernie is getting some dumb pushback on. I saw on Reddit, just a few people. The most people are kind of in his camp on this, from what I can tell. But like, so because he had this first video that he put out where he was actually defending Rob from, you know, accusations of, I'll just say, not giving a shit about, you know, black characters or anything like that. He was saying he doesn't have to cover them for, you know, and blah blah blah. Then he got new evidence. That's the thing some of these people are not recognizing. You know what I mean? Like, then he was alerted to other things that he's about to talk about. But some of these people think, oh, he made that first video, then he's flip-flopped and changed his mind. He's just wanting this for, you know, clout or whatever. He's doing this for clout. It's like, fuck you, man. Learn what evidence does.
Yeah.
In video format, mind you. Someone pointed out to me that Rob follows white supremacists.
Oh boy. Nazis.
There were people, when I talked about this publicly online on Nerds of Culture just this past week, there were people who tried to come to me and to his defense saying that, oh, well, you know, he's probably only doing it for research, or you know, he's probably only doing it for this, that. And
this is one of the main reasons I wanted us to talk about this, because I think we can probably better than most speak to this idea that, you know, Rob defends himself, and the other people did, that, you know, he needs to keep an eye on what these guys are saying. Even if he doesn't always agree with them, they might have something that, you know, he'll get to it. But like, I don't subscribe to any one of the motherfuckers that I've ever fucking criticized as far as their like Phantom Menace, Comicsgate. Not a single one of them.
Look, I'm not subscribed. Oh, look.
You barely even have to watch a full video most of the time to you know, properly debunk bullshit. I think Eric, you probably speak to that. Like,
yeah,
they say the dumb lie usually in the first part of the video, and then the rest of it's just fucking spinning the wheels saying
by
dumb
time
shit.
you're like 30% in, there's nothing really left that they can say. So,
and you don't have to follow them, because believe me, we get people sending us this stuff. We get people, you know, tweeting at us, tagging us, saying, "Hey, have you seen this? You're going to respond to this." Like, you don't have to subscribe to them, as long as you've identified yourself as somebody that gives a shit and wants to push back against them. They're going to hear about it.
Dude, part of the reason I started covering them was a lot of their arguments were getting into my fucking comments. I'm like, what the fuck argument is this? Like, and I was trying to figure out where it was coming from. Then I figured out it was from these dipshits. You don't have to follow them to get that. You don't.
I mean, you're probably not wrong. I hate to see that happen, but Jesus Christ.
Honestly, I get the impression that he was sort of looking for an invite anyway, because There's no other reason to follow them, especially not their Twitter accounts. You don't need.
Well, it's
to
not
follow
just
them
that. As Ernie explains, he went and checked, down. Basically, they're toward the beginning of his follow list, which tells you that he started following them pretty early on his Twitter. So for them to be, guys that like, oh yeah, I gotta follow them. Like whenever I'm starting an account on Twitter or something, I'm like, who are the comic book creators? Who are the YouTubers that I really fucking enjoy and want to hear from and stuff? Like, those are the first few people I'm going to follow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he said that he's only been following them for 6 months, which is even worse because
He's either lying or he's.
There's no legitimacy for following for the last 6 months when, quite frankly, they're on their way out.
To stop because y'all actually gave him an excuse that he later parroted in a video response to that getting out. And I want to point out in this video, which I believe was like almost 10 minutes long, he spent almost the entirety of the video talking about Blue Marvel and a bunch of other ancillary bullshit, and then waited till the last minute of the video to address the fact that he follows white supremacists. And he treated it almost as if, and I'm not the only one who thinks this, there was a lot of people who were responding to me pointing this out. A lot of people were, even saying that it kind of felt like one of his explainer videos. Like the way he framed it, the way he kind of danced around everything and didn't really talk about the thing that, supposedly he was there.
Dude, that's literally one of the reasons I stopped watching his content, because he would have a video that's like, oh, this crazy thing happens in the title, and I'm like, whoa, what? Watch it, and he'd like get to it maybe at the end, and it would kind of barely even talk about it. Yeah. Pretty clickbaity shit.
Talk about, but at the end of it, when he did actually talk about it, and I want to make something clear here, I personally addressed him before giving my opinion on this. And I'm gonna tell you, matter of fact, before I tell you what he said in that video that didn't make any goddamn sense, let me talk to you guys about what actually happened in that DM exchange. Basically, to start the whole thing off, on February 5th, I said, hey, caught a glimpse on Twitter, all the shit going on over there. You good? ? And once again, he messaged me like a few hours later saying, always, LOL. Now, this is before I found out that on Twitter, he follows very well-known white supremacist, Gary, is it Belcher? I don't know, maybe he was a Bob Burgers character, I don't know. But otherwise, Gary, aka Nerdrotic, and Will Jordan, aka Critical Drinker. Two people who are at the forefront of many of the racist and just outright bigoted across the board, not even just racist, but like homophobic, transphobic, really just about any kind of phobic you could add to it that would be just completely ridiculous for a person to feel about another human being. And yeah, he follows them. And when I saw that, that was kind of my canary in the coal mine, which, to be fair, there should have been others. Rob's done plenty of dumb, problematic shit before this. But yes, that was my canary in the coal mine. And I want to make something clear. This wasn't something that like, oh, he had just started following them. He said that he started following them 6 months ago in that video I kind of alluded to earlier. But either way, he doesn't follow very many people. He follows like 215 people. And while the list I looked at didn't show all 215, Critical Drinker and Nerdrotic were damn near at the bottom of his follow list, which for those who don't know, if you're on Twitter, you look at someone's follow list, whoever's at the bottom are the people that person has been following the longest. Let's get that out of the way. But then he comes back later after I saw this evidence and then said, yes, okay, maybe you guys were right. He is a I actually said that on Threads. And then apparently, I guess he saw it, which, I mean, honestly, I wasn't trying to hide it from him. The reason why I didn't, like, reach out to him immediately when I saw that shit is because I knew how long it would take him to respond. Because typically when I reach out to Rob, I think this was in 2024, I hit him up. It took him a few days to respond. So if I literally would have sat there, there's a high probability that it could have been a while. I remember one time I said, hey, there's something you wanted to talk to me about. And he was like, yeah, I'll hit you up in a day or so. And the next time that I heard from him was when I reached out to him over a year later. And so I just want to point this out, that Rob doesn't talk to me the way that he might try and make it seem like he talks to me. I'm not in his inner circle. I'm not like some of his other content creator peers where he's buddy with, like Sal and Comic Drake, so on and so forth. I barely know the guy. Outside of the conversations you all have seen us have on social media or like in a video or live stream or something like that. But then we go on to say, Rob sees the video, he messaged me on Discord, and I kind of give him about roughly the same treatment he gives me. I didn't immediately respond. I actually saw that he had messaged me and was like, okay, and moved on with my day. I went and went to a hip hop show, hung out with my kid, did the husbandly things, you know what I'm saying? And then, I was, just doing other stuff. I even did a live stream that day too. I was like, hey, I'm gonna give him the same energy he gives me. When I actually finally got done with my day and came back and read, I saw that it said, hey, I saw your thread video though. I didn't realize you felt that way. And which is kind of funny because when he's talking about the video, I actually didn't say anything negative about him in the video. I just pointed out how Rob runs his channel and what matters to him. So I don't really know what there is to be angry about that. I was like, and I even was honest and said the thing that he even admitted later that he doesn't know shit about Milestone.
I would not purport to be an expert on Milestone comics, right? I mean, I could lie and say that I am, but anyone who's knowledgeable about Milestone could press me for 5 minutes and figure out that I'm full of shit, right? And making the statement that I'm knowledgeable about Milestone.
And then he messages me like, I think almost a couple of hours later, basically saying that, well, I guess your thread video and your comments agreeing that I'm a... And it's kind of funny because, once again, he's mischaracterizing the situation. In that video, I never said he was a... So that lets me know he didn't actually watch that video. No. I actually was very defensive of Rob. And here, I'll show you what I said.
Okay, so I saw people cooking my man shit on the artist formerly known as Twitter yesterday, and I saw it kind of escalate a little bit more the past few hours, and I wanted to talk about it a little bit and kind of maybe give some perspective. So yesterday, Rob was called for not uplifting black comics and black comic creators, black superheroes, stuff like that during Black History Month. And while I think the person who threw that label at him was kind of out of pocket, I also have to admit that there is a reason maybe why there is this perception. Now, let's go ahead and just clear the air here. Rob has talked about black characters on his channel before. As a matter of fact, he once did it.
I want to ask, is this the video that Reddit is kind of going hard on Blurred about? This one?
I think so.
Okay. Because the one where you said it was when he was kind of defending Rob a little bit. And I can see why they would want to use this video against him. I mean, I understand how point of view changes, so I wouldn't do that. But
well, it's also like the thing that he was defending him against is, I don't think he would even change his mind about that if it was just that in a vacuum. You know what I mean? Like the fact that, Rob is, okay, so I didn't know for the longest time that Rob was a black dude. Honestly didn't. Like, I had no idea what he looked like for the longest time when I was subscribing to him. Just thought he had a really cool voice. That's
he has a great voice, by the way. And I've seen people on Reddit that also said the same thing. I had no idea he was even a black guy. And that actually becomes a point of that Ernie makes later on, where I was like, holy shit, that's fucking burning him down, dude. We can skip to that if you want to, because the rest of it's just kind of details of between the videos and stuff. But I mean, what I'm saying is that him not covering, black characters and supporting, well, actually, I've had problems with Rob in the past. I remember now, I just made a video about him like 3 years ago, where he was kind of the main focus, but there were others that I mentioned, and it was generally like, this was before, the initiative, before anything, when I'm still out here in the fucking wilderness by myself and shit. And I was like frustrated that guys with that kind of platform never mention these fucking guys. They never mention the people that are pissing in the fandom pool. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I was like, and I kind of asked the question, do you think that these people have some responsibility to do something more with their platform? Like, I'm out here, hardly any subscribers, fighting my way through the chuds, and they don't do shit. You know what I mean? I kind of, that's probably when I really started just not respecting the guy too much, because you got a huge ass platform. You could at least mention it sometimes. You know what I mean? Talk about it now and then.
Especially as a clear fan of comics, he would know when they're lying.
Mm-hmm.
He knows, and so why not at least call that out when they're talking bullshit about stuff that he knows about? And I to be honest, I tacitly agree with Ernie here that if he covers comics that he is knowledgeable and passionate about, and he happens not to be knowledgeable and passionate about certain black characters and comics like Milestone, then he's not really under any obligation to cover it. I mean, it's almost sort of tokenization for him to do it. But then I think that all changes when you find out that he's following people who are actively racist.
Yeah, well, and that gets into the other, the other point that I think is relevant beyond just this specific issue of black creators, which is relevant, but like then just some of the stuff that Rob ends up saying to defend himself to Ernie is stuff that we've heard a bunch of times before. You know what I mean? And I think I skipped forward a little bit. So
watch this video, and this is going to answer all your questions. And while technically he was correct, it answered all my questions, I don't think I gave him the response he was hoping for, because my immediate response to this video was, I said I was right. I wasn't going to like the answer. I was like, I don't follow either of them or anyone like them, and yet I'm always aware of the racist, hateful shit they say. I have plenty of ways to suss that shit out without giving the appearance of endorsing them. How would you feel if you knew I followed Charlie Kirk or Candace Owens or Donald Trump or David Duke? Would that shit sit right with you? And Rob's response, honestly, I kind of saw it coming a mile away. And it was basically what let me know, yeah, we were done. We were done. Like, whatever it is that anyone thought we were, that shit wasn't happening no more. And he basically said, it wouldn't matter to me because it has no effect on me or my life, but you do you, home slice. So when I saw that, honestly, I was going to leave it right there. But then, like about a little over 30 minutes later, he comes back and says, oh, and one last thing, as far as giving the appearance of endorsing them, you just found out I followed them today or yesterday. I've been following them for over 6 months. If I was endorsing them, you would have found out a long time ago. And he posts a screenshot of part of the thread, like the thread that I had put out. Which is kind of funny because he posted it about roughly around the same time that I was typing the message that I'm showing you guys now. I actually sent it immediately after. He didn't respond, which honestly, I don't care. Yeah, it is what it is. But my response, I thought, even in that, was gracious. Because I saw the fuck off after, because literally right as I was hitting enter, he had sent that. He sent the now fuck off part. So I was like, you know what? Whatever. I was like, you know what? Let the chips fall where they may. I was like, he and I, we are officially enemies now at this point. That's what that is. But basically, I just said to leave it where it was sure, whatever. Anyway, hope you get your shit together, dude. I used to have a lot of respect for you. Like, seriously. Fuck views, fuck subs, fuck internet fame, fuck rubbing elbows, fuck all of that. This all lives matter, MGTOW, Nazis might be right bullshit you're on is next level weird. Please seek help. The bullet point of that video he sent me was basically to say that he follows Critical Drinker and Neurotic because he gave
the roboting.
It's not for me.
Was for me. That was weird. Everybody else sounds fine, but the video was roboting for me.
Well, we can take a pause anyway and check out this. So thank you, Big Feely, for this. This is a wild look. Far be it from me to be like, oh, this black guy's not experiencing what he claims he is. I wouldn't do that, but it's just a weird fucking take. So I just sent this. So somebody said it's nice to see you rise above it. The king of the jungle shouldn't be bothered by ants. Would you believe me if I told you I get more racist comments from POC than white people on Twitter? What the fuck? How the fuck do you know? For one thing, if you're trusting what people are on Twitter and not knowing, literally seeing them and having some way to identify who they really are, then you're kind of a fool.
So let me put this in perspective. This would be like me as a gay person going on Twitter and saying, would you believe me if I told you I get more homophobic comments from queer people than straight people on Twitter? Literally throwing my entire community under the bus. Mm-hmm. So if the allegations, if I had allegations that I was a pick-me, and then my next thing I did on social media would go, let me do the most pick-me thing I can possibly do. Mm-hmm. It doesn't help my argument. So Fallen Jedi says Dane is sounding robotic but on air. Yeah, I don't know what it was. It was weird.
I will try to talk less.
But
well, Dane's on his phone too.
I just think it's weird that this would be his response to this tweet.
No,
it's nice to see you rise above it. The king of the jungle shouldn't be bothered by, what does that say? Ants.
Ants.
Why is this your response to this?
It is giving off major pick-me vibes.
No, it is 100%.
No.
Like the only way I can even remotely understand how this statement would be is if I were using it to defend myself by throwing gay people and trans people and any queer person under the bus. For what reason? Does that just like the accusations they made against you are being proven in this response?
It definitely feels, some people alluded to it in the comments, that he's trying to do a Star Wars theory. Is that his subscribers perhaps are not going up at the same rate they once were, and so he's looking for a new audience.
It doesn't matter what specific things he agrees with, because as Ernie explains in a minute, or maybe I passed it already, he says that Rob's reason for following these guys is because they might have some. He said his dad raised him to listen to what people he doesn't he doesn't agree with say, just because they, for one thing, you know what they're saying. Another thing, they might say stuff that'll change your mind or something you can agree with sometimes. And it's like, if you think that Nerdrotic or Critical Drinker are guys that are going to say something of fucking value when it comes to virtually anything, really, because even if they have a valid point on something here and there, it's not for fucking good reasons. And there's plenty of other people that are saying it, the same thing for better, more valid motivations that you should raise up instead. So yeah, there's no fucking reason to kind of do this hemming and hawing about, them being worth listening to or whatever. That's exactly how they got to the positions they are. That's exactly how we got to the fucking government that we have right now. That is, is shitting its pants on a regular basis, literally, figuratively.
I also want to approach this comment from a different perspective as well. On top of that, is even if we couldn't find anything, look at what he just said. Look at this response. So even if he isn't defending these guys directly, he is throwing a marginalized community under the bus to save his ass with white people.
Yeah.
But what's also interesting, which is kind of a giveaway that I don't think he intended, is if he's saying that based on his father's advice he's following people he doesn't agree with, then from the off, he knows that what Ernie is saying about Critical Drinker and Nerdrotic is correct. He knows what they're like. So if there is some kind of pivot towards them now, he's already admitted that he thinks that he agrees with Ernie, that they're white supremacists.
Well,
and I want to say real quick, I gotta run and do something real quick, and I'll be right back. But before I do, I just want to say that this is exactly the mistake that people make all the time. We're doing it right now. I mean, but like basically to think that this is just a difference of opinions when it's about these men have a difference in morality. They have a difference in literal value of human life, and that's something that if you're a halfway decent person, I don't think you should budge on. They're not. It's not like, oh, I do like the brown M&Ms or something. It's like, no, they fucking constantly, their whole career has been about, number one, making money, but using racism and bigotry of all kinds to do that. Whether they believe it or not is irrelevant. They are supporting and have promoted white supremacy for years. And so to just be like, oh, then we should hear them out or whatever. No, we fucking shouldn't. We should ice them out of fucking society. But
no, it's literally one of the things I wanted to bring up. So, like, when you hear this, you got to hear both sides of the argument. That is only something that works if both sides are honest and intelligent.
Right.
That's the only thing that applies to. When you're dealing with grifters and bigots like Critical Drinker and Nerdrotic, it does not apply. And
I also want to respond to this comment here. So there's a difference, and I'm going to explain what the difference is. The quartering was using objective numbers. That's the only reason I gave him any sort of credit, was he was looking at analytics and saying that the analytics point out that these things are declining based on multiple channels. He was looking at multiple channels. This is a really important thing because I saw a lot of people misunderstanding why I was agreeing with quartering in that moment, and I won't take up a lot of time with this, I promise. But he looked at multiple channels that all show the same thing from different content creators. That means it isn't like targeting one person and saying, oh, look, Geeks and Gamers is doing bad, so they all must be doing bad. No, he showed multiple channels and spoke about his own content. Those are objective metrics. That's what he was looking at. It wasn't a vibes thing. It wasn't a us versus them thing. It really was just him looking at numbers. I want to make it very clear. The quartering is one of the biggest piece of shits on YouTube and on the internet. So I would never, quote unquote, give him credit for anything. I would never do that. The only thing I was saying in the video was that if anybody knows what they're talking about, it is someone that makes anti-fandom content or chud content. They would know if that content is declining because it's literally the kind of content they make.
And Julian, try not to spam post. I saw you post this twice because I was gonna reply, but like, you know, don't post it repeatedly. I did see it, but I want to go ahead and say that this is like, for me, this would be the moment for Rob. If Rob wants to firmly say that he does not support these guys, this is his moment to stand up and say it.
They've already contacted him.
Fuck these guys.
Look, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that X-Ray Girl or somebody that's associated with the production of Friday Night Tights has already reached out to Rob at this point.
That's very likely.
So I would not be surprised, maybe not this week, because they probably already have a guest lined up, but I wouldn't be surprised in the next couple weeks if he ends up being a guest on Friday Night Tights or on one of the other various shows that they do.
Yeah,
and
I was gonna say those are the two possibilities. Either he'll do a video or something very public saying, "Hey, I do not support these guys. I do not endorse them. Yeah. There's lots of misunderstanding. I am not agreeing with them." Or he'll appear on the show, and we'll see where his morals are.
I want to just reiterate this again. I think you guys need to listen to what I'm saying. Okay, no offense, right? There's no right in this comment, right? This is an anecdotal statement that cannot be proven. So there is no right or wrong. He's simply saying it. And then we have to understand why he's saying it. He is saying it because he's willing to throw any criticism tossed at him for anything that he's done. He's willing to throw an entire community of people under the bus, talking about racist comments and POCs. He's willing to do that to cater to a white demographic. That he says specifically, POC then white people, not other people, not in general, not YouTube creators. He specifically says POCs versus white people. So it's not about being right or wrong. It is an anecdotal statement he is making to cover his ass and throw an entire community under the bus to cater to white supremacy ideology. That's what this statement is. So it's not a right or wrong statement.
I think something else to know as well is that Critical Drink had nothing to do with comics.
Right.
So
why are you following him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Gary, I can kind of justify it if you're a comic reader.
I don't even know if I would go as far to because I'm as someone who isn't a person of color, I don't know how I would react to this if it was a situation where I was looking through Rob's follows to find out who he's following or whatever. I don't know how I would react to it, right? I don't understand how that would feel. But if your community calls you out on something and your response is, I'm just going to throw that entire community under the bus, that's kind of crazy to me. Okay, so you say, I'm not referring to the comment on the screen, only the comment about people you disagree with not being wrong all the time. Let me put this in perspective. If somebody goes into a store and they steal 9 times out of 10, but one time they don't steal, that doesn't make them right or a good person. They're still a thief. So when somebody gets on here and they're a grifter, even if they don't grift in one video, that doesn't make them not a grifter. I'm not going to give them credit for being a good person. That should be the standard. That should be the bar. Anything outside of that is what makes you that thing. If you are somebody who lives your life and you never kill someone and then you kill one person, you're still a murderer. That's just the reality.
It's the same thing as them being like, they don't dislike everything that's got a black character in it. They like this one movie or whatever. And it's like, that doesn't fucking change the fact that 99% of the time they're fucking literally using white supremacist fucking great replacement theory, dog whistle bullshit. And in fact, that points to that one example of them liking something probably being disingenuous just so that they can try and cover their asses from the valid accusations.
Yeah.
And it's also not just about like being aware of when they might be correct on an issue or not, because like Eric, you don't follow the quartering and yet you knew about that video.
Yes.
And so you were able to cover it without following him. Specifically following them on Twitter means that you're looking to their tweets to see what they say there, and then never commenting on it publicly. Even if he had made a video in the past saying, look, I hate these guys. I don't agree with them. But on this occasion, in this one particular tweet, they're saying something that is correct. That would be different, but he doesn't even do that. Doesn't cover them at all, positive or negatively. Just follows them on his Twitter account.
Yeah. But the other thing
It almost would.
Yeah, go ahead, Dane. Sorry.
I was going to say, you know, based on what Ryan was saying, it says to me that he's looking to kind of, you know, poach some of their audience more than anything. Even if they're not covering the same kind of stuff. Like, oh, if I, you know, just follow him, perhaps his audience will see me in the follows or whatever. And you know, it seems pretty cynical to me. Like Ernie said, he thinks it's just money motivated.
I mean, I just can't even imagine. I can't even imagine this. I have to say this again because it's blowing my fucking mind. I can't imagine if I were questioned about my credibility or my morality or my ethics when it comes to the queer community, if my very next thing I did was just throw the queer community under the bus and go, I'm not anti-queer, but let me throw them under a bus, you know, to defend myself. I don't see how that can be a rational thought in anybody's mind. I just don't see how you can reach that conclusion if you're being honest, if you're being a serious person.
Adding on to that, something I'd like to say that I was sort of sitting on here for a second, mulling over in my mind, and I think it might be appropriate, is, you know, if somebody has like a motivation, if we're talking about rhetoric, if somebody has a motivation for furthering something rhetorical, you don't actually have to hand it to them if the motivation is malicious just because you think they're incidentally correct. Great example of this. I've seen grifters talk shit about movies that I don't like. And I've sat there and been like, I don't like this either, but I know this dude's only got a problem with this shit because it's got a woman in it. So I can't sit here and be like, well, he's right about some things. That's fucking stupid.
Listen, dude, like
the
even
dumbest thing you could say.
100%. And this, okay, it doesn't matter, right? Because his sentiment, the sentiment, he's at the very least, it's objectively true that his sentiment is he's passive and neutral on them, which, you know, is a bad thing because white supremacy needs to be actively fucking fought against. It needs to be actively fucking, you know, pushed back on. So to you know, and it's not even neutral because, like I was just saying, it very least is it causing some overlap of some people in the audience whenever you were following somebody like that. You know, if you're trying to cut X size of fucking cancer out of a fandom like white supremacy, you need to fucking cut them out. You know, every single time that any one of us makes a video about one of these chuds, we go through our minds whether or not is this, you know, we're not just doing it willy-nilly, like, because there's always a chance that we, you know, introduce them to somebody that might like them or whatever. And that's always a risk. So we have to calculate and go, is what we're saying, is our criticism actually, you know, worthwhile enough that even if we accidentally introduce one fucking person to, you know, make them a new fan, is it going to be valid enough to, you know, counterbalance that? You know, there's a sense of responsibility, especially when you have a fucking platform of like 2.6 million subscribers that he has. That's just, we can't live in a fucking society where social media is the goddamn be all end all that it's become, and everybody's all about it when nobody has any sense of responsibility or accountability for what they're doing with their platform. And that includes, you know, tacit, you know, kind of passive being okay with somebody.
Yeah. And to that point, like, I do think it's a gap because I see this a lot from like commenters and from like people who just like follow content creators where they're not content creators. So they don't have a sense of how the standard is different. Like if you're just like casually interested in the critical drinker and you follow him on Twitter just to see what bullshit he gets into, I think that's a little like suspicious, but I'm not going to razz you for it. Whereas if you're a content creator, like kind of like Dane is alluding to, you know, it's the things that you do or the things that you promote, you know, and I kind of feel like it's disingenuous to act like it's a totally innocuous behavior, because if it was totally innocuous, you'd have a side account that was your personal account where you interact.
On that note, though, we can listen to what he says. I've got kind of queued up here in a second on this video for what his response to Ernie was about this stuff, so we can hear what he has to say about it. I'm just saying that, like, even without having anything else on it, that's enough to, you know, I think to all of us here to just dismiss his, you know, his take on it. But we can hear what he says in defense of himself.
Like, you have their shit show up on your social media feed. I'm almost positive that might not have been the exact sentiment.
Getting into the whole conversation, right, about one of the, like, people started to figure out that, like, I follow Critical Drinker and Nerdrotic on Twitter. Yeah. I mean, if somebody tweeted out and asked that question, do you follow Nerdrotic and Critical Drinker? I would have been like, yep. Now, why do I follow them? Because when I was younger, my dad gave me a really good piece of advice, which was this. He said, if you're going to stand for something, then you need to know what the other side believes. And you need to know what the other side stands for. And you need to listen to what the other side has to say. Not because you respect them, not because you like them, but because you are not right 100% of the time. And they are not wrong 100% of the time.
I want to pause here for a second.
Yeah. So we're probably going to say the same thing. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, well, so what's his example of the other side of Critical Drinker and Nerdrotic? You know what I mean? Like, if he's following
sometimes
those two guys,
women are ruining, that feminism is ruining movies because, you know, feminism and weak men or something. Is that?
Well, yeah, I mean, but I would also say, like, what content creators are the equivalent of those two guys that he has to follow them? Because he's saying he wants to hear both sides. So is he a centrist and he just wants to hear both sides of the arguments? Or does he disagree with them and he wants to hear what they have to say? Because to this day, I don't think I've ever seen Rob make a video about Nerdrotic or Critical Drinker.
No.
Also,
what is he getting from them?
Not to razz this dude's dad and have him catch strays here, but like
We're razzing his dad now.
I'm just gonna say I don't think your fucking father had your career as a content creator in mind when he said that shit. Like you're massively decontextualizing the advice that an adult gave to a child. Like grow the fuck up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, his words there though are pretty clear that he stands opposed to Critical Drinker and Nerdrotic. That's what he's saying in this video. He stands against what they believe in. So the perspective of that to his audience is that he doesn't like them and that he would have nothing to do with them. I mean, I think if you continue to play the video, he says as much. So it's going to be interesting to see if he stays with that because, again, I don't understand if this is his view, why he's following those two specifically when you don't need to follow them to know what they say.
Okay.
Especially like I said, Critical Drinker, who never speaks to comics at all.
Right. So let me I want to pull up this comment again because I feel like we're going back and forth here, but I do want to address this. So I think what the point that's being missed here, and I don't know if we can make it any easier to understand, is say for example, I started only following, and I mean this specifically, one group of people that are all anti-women, anti-gay people, anti-trans people. And if you look through my follow list, they're the oldest people I've ever followed. And there's no equivalent to that on my list. There's no other person on the other side of that. I think it would look really bad for me as a content creator if I didn't have answers for those questions. Like if they came to me and they said, hey, what is your thoughts on this? So I do understand what you're saying here. But he has told us with the response we saw just a second ago. His response is he doesn't care because he gets more racist comments from POCs than he does white people. That is his position. And that's the only position that we can that we know, because that's the only one that he's even speaking about. Everything else he's very silent on. And typically when somebody is silent on something, it's because they don't have the same beliefs that they think you want them to have. So they don't want to say it out loud because they're afraid of being rejected for those things. So he's very quiet about it because I believe, this is my opinion, just my opinion, I believe Rob is probably not a full-blown chud, but he is in chuddy waters. He does hang out in that space. He does sort of find that interesting, the conversation about that interesting, because I have never seen a video from him, and I subscribed to him for years. I've never seen a video from him where he's taking up the opposite position. He's never done that. So all things lead me down the path that he agrees with them to some level, and that he's ashamed of it, which is why he's not being honest about it. And now he's deflecting because he doesn't have an actual answer for it. Everything he's doing is showing us that. And the comment where he threw the entire black community under the bus, actually any POC under the bus, to defend white people on Twitter, tells me everything I need to know. I don't need to hear anything else from him. I don't need to hear anything else from him.
I want to point out that, like, these guys have actively, and their audiences have actively targeted, group, not just, obviously there's the celebrity examples of the many Star Wars actors and stuff like that, but just comic book creators, but also just small channels that pop up trying to, like, even criticize them, or even say something not even addressing them, but saying something like, oh, the people say this is woke and bad. I think it's good. I've had, at least a dozen people over the years message me, with some version of like, try to start a channel or whatever, and these people's audiences just find me, and like they're actively, and they don't ever encourage their audiences not to do that. They don't ever say, hey guys, we're hearing some fucking shitty toxic behavior. No, absolutely not. Especially, guys like the EFAP fucks, their audiences do that almost like as a function, a feature, and and they're actively suppressing the fandom. People that it's one thing if they just want to have their stupid white supremacist fucking bullshit over here in the corner, but white supremacy doesn't exist that way. It can only exist as a thing that's trying to squash anything else that's not it.
Also, sort of like again, like adding on to that, something that I think has kind of it's easy to forget it now. It used to be way more common for people with like solidly right-wing beliefs to just not say anything about it and to just have their careers and not bring their beliefs into it, which was one of the like main like critiques of people doing left-wing analysis of art like years and years ago, was like, why that was the origin of why'd you have to make it political, because the implicit idea that a lot of right-wing people had is that we have this agreement that we just don't talk about politics. And of course, the problem with that is that the art can have political themes, but my read on this dude, I'm like, he seems like he's a right-wing guy, but he seems like he's like, people who describe as centrist now, to a T, everyone that I've seen has like some weird right-wing beliefs. And
yeah, let's let Ernie cook, man, because he basically says the same thing, and he kind of comments on a factor that I had not thought about, that really only not really in a position to comment on, but like it's getting to the goods, I suppose.
To possibly know whether or not you're right if you reject any opinion other than your,
because you have fucking standards, you have morals, you have a principled fucking, you've analyzed your principles and they align with your fucking morality. Like, that's how you know you're right. There is no fucking question like, oh, maybe black people shouldn't be able to have vote, and women should be in the kitchen and stuff. Like, I need to hear some arguments and fucking figure it out. Like,
can you do me a favor and back up like 3 seconds and then let it play for like 5 or 6 seconds?
Yeah, sorry.
You need to listen to what the other side has to say. Not because you respect them, not because you like them, but because you are not right 100% of the time, and they are not wrong 100% of the time. And how could you possibly know whether or not you're right if you reject any opinion other than your own? At that point, you're just confirming your own views over and over.
That is a lie. I just want to point out that the initial point, right, about like, I think it's important to consider perspectives. That's a little mealy-mouthed. The idea, like, if I don't follow these right-wing idiots, I am literally rejecting every perspective that's not my own. You're lying. Stop lying. It's not the same thing. I'm sorry. Like, this is what makes this so frustrating. People have to like inflate their perspectives and catastrophize about everything.
Well, it goes on with the point I was making earlier. Like, if they were honest, intelligent thoughts that were just different than mine, then okay, you might have an argument. But no, these are bigoted grifters. Like, they will, like, the only time they might say something that's accurate is something that, like, it's like something you could come to on your own. You don't need them to tell you that. Everything else is full of shit.
Yeah, I just really wanted to point that out, because seeing, like, I heard him say like rejecting any opinion, and I knew what he was about to say. I could like hear it coming, because it's nobody can ever, and this is the thing that I see all the time when like right-wingers respond to people on this show, even, they can never just be like, here's the facts, here's why you're wrong. It always has to be some fucking bullshit about like, oh, nothing is ever good enough for you. You think you're the only right person in the world. It's just a straw man. Why did you have to make it a straw man? Just say that you're right and we're wrong and explain why.
Respect Critical Drinker or Nerdrotic, and I have no problem admitting that publicly. If I happen to bump into them at a Comic-Con and they're like, oh my god, your comments explain, we're huge fans, do you want to get a beer? I would just be like, no. And then I would leave, right? But I do listen to them, Because it's entirely possible that they have an opinion out there somewhere that actually changes and it gives me reason to rethink my own viewpoints. That maybe I'm not actually as right as I've been telling myself I am this entire time.
This is a sick Negro.
Real talk. If you need a white supremacist, if you need to follow a white supremacist, two of them, bear in mind, two completely different white supremacists, in order to make sure that you're on the right side of things, or you're hoping that they can give you some information that's gonna maybe change your worldview on something. Like, look, if you ever find yourself in agreement with a white supremacist, you need to revisit some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Please seek help. I don't need white supremacists to let me know that I'm on the right side of things. Okay. Maybe if you're morally compromised or morally bankrupt, and honestly,
I will add a little amendment to that. I would say, if I'm disagreeing with white supremacists, I know I'm on the right side of things.
Yeah, I mean, so this, in a way, this kind of reminds me of the, it's a different thing, but it's of course the same thing as Eric July's video about, why if you're anti-tyranny and normally you'd be against ICE, but you shouldn't be against ICE right now because it's the left that are driving the conversation, so you shouldn't be against them because principles aren't what matters, strategies, so it's like it comes down to not having actually firm principles on shit. You're just for different reasons, different topics for sure, but like that's what it is at the core. Is Rob doesn't have any principles about what he believes about and shit like that, and Eric is just willing to flip flop on his if it's convenient. Yeah.
I think Rob is. I also think he's got some anti-blackness in him. Because he leaps at opportunities to shit on other black people, which is kind of funny because I've seen him actually talk about how the people who are the most racist to me are other black people. Other people of color, they're the most racist to me.
Yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize that.
Ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis.
But literally, I saw him doing this. Like someone actually told me about how he used to talk shit about Angel Reese for no other reason than the fact that she was a black woman. Honestly, that right there in and of itself is a whole other host of problems. But to get us back on task, the reason why I took umbrage with him following white supremacists outside of the obvious is that it's like, well, here's the thing. I don't really follow anything that I don't want to see. Like, I can keep up with what Nerdrotic and Critical Drinker and Heels versus Babyface and Young Ripper and Melanie Mack and Geeks and Gamers and all of these other people who kind of traffic in white supremacy and just very bigoted and misogynistic, homophobic, transphobic views. People who are literally like they brush their teeth with anti-blackness. I don't have to follow them to know what they say. I know what they say. I have ways of finding out what they say. I don't need.
I mean, like not to undercut his point or cut into it or anything, but like they're what they say is in the general sense. White supremacy, male supremacy, anti any kind of pro strict hierarchy, gender norms, so on and so forth. Right? That's what they're about. Anything else they say is often just a lie. Anything else they say is, as we talked about it, Eric, you prove it every fucking video almost. Like everything they say is a dishonest thing in service of that general thing. So there's no fucking reason to listen to them.
A play-by-play, blow-by-blow of what they do. And honestly, that's what you get if you follow somebody. Now, once again, he only follows 215 people. And just based on how my social media algorithm works, I follow over 1,000 people on Threads. And I don't think that it really goes outside of the spectrum of comic book artists and writers, wrestlers, actors, singers, Instagram baddies, cosplayers. Yeah, cosplayers. Like maybe the odd video game developer, and political activists. You know, those are like the 8 types of people I follow. And my feed is largely like political activism, titties, ass, political activism, video games, anime, titties, ass. That's my feed. That's my feed. So what you're telling me is that like, yeah, his is like, okay, comic book shit. Oh, white supremacy. Oh, comic book shit. White supremacy. That's basically what his feed is. Once again, I did a video actually.
That's a really good point that I think maybe all of us could kind of try and keep in mind going forward is like, next time you encounter somebody, just like look at their follows and imagine what their feed looks like. You know what I mean? Just like really kind of put yourself in there for a minute and think, what is this person taking in all the time? Yeah.
About and breaking down some of the things that were being said, you know, debunking a lot of things that were said that you said about like people like Nerdrotic and Critical Drinker. I didn't watch their videos, like not on their channels or anything. I didn't follow them. I downloaded them off of YouTube and then watched them in my own time. I don't give them I don't give them metrics. I don't give the appearance of enjoying their content. Like they get nothing from me. Like if you see me watching a nerd, even like on my live streams where we've like responded to shit that like Nerdrotic and Critical Drinker and other people like them, even in those live streams, we're not watching their video on their channel. That video has been downloaded from their channel without even clicking on the video. Thus, they get nothing from me. It seemed like a very piss poor excuse. Because honestly, I know what happened. I think now that I think about it, I think I know what video he's talking about. I think he's actually talking about the Nerds of Culture live stream. I think he tuned in for it. And I think that's where he got that other stuff from. Because he kept thinking about the Threads video, but I think he was actually thinking about the live stream. Because there I was very loud and proud about what I had to say about him. Because by that point, evidence had already mounted against him. And there was really nothing he could say to beat the charges. And that was also kind of where people were trying to defend him, saying, oh, it was research. And notice how he used that very same line of thinking when he tried to defend himself for all of like 30 or 40 seconds in a 9.5-minute video. But then the other thing that came up, and this was one of the things like, this is kind of where I was defending him actually, and he just didn't realize it. I don't care if he doesn't talk about Milestone Media on his channel. I knew before y'all knew that he didn't like Milestone.
For the record, anybody's not aware, Milestone Comics was it existed briefly in the 90s. It was an all-black, creator-owned comic book indie publisher with all, I'm pretty sure every character, at least every title, was a black-centered character. So, Static Shock came out of that and stuff like that. Icon was another one. Dwayne McDuffie, Christopher Priest, I believe.
Media, and it's kind of funny because it actually came up in a live stream. Like he basically, like, Carter and I were talking about Milestone, and he was just really quiet. He didn't have anything to say. Just was what it was. And also, I want to point out too, Rob, I think he doesn't like being black. Like even the little bit that he is. I mean, think about it. Look at his profile pic on like Twitter and on YouTube. It's literally.
I had not ever considered that.
It's not something I ever thought about when he brought
but
up.
when he said, I'm like, holy shit, dude.
It's literally a white man. It's not him.
I mean, I don't know what to say about that other than
me. That makes
he is at least a dozen shades darker than his profile pic in real life, but yet he has the picture of a white man on his YouTube channel.
This is a sick Negro.
That's crazy. That's a whole new next level of wild shit. And then to top it all off, just everything else, his like him dumbing down Milestone Media to FUBU.
Milestone Comics is effectively FUBU within comic books.
Wow.
Right? It is black superheroes created by black faces.
That's the only black-owned brand that Rob
that
actually knows about. Let's just go keep that a buck.
That's the only black-owned brand that Rob could think of. That's oh man, yeah. I don't know. This is not really any of our places to comment on it to really any degree. But like, I mean, I back what Ernie says here because where he comes from, I generally believe he's one of the most sincere and earnest dudes that there is on talking about comics on YouTube.
Yeah.
And so I trust his take on it.
But he dumbs it down to FUBU and then says, it doesn't resonate with me.
There are some stories that just don't resonate with me. And Milestone's one of them. didn't resonate with me on a personal level.
I'll give him credit. He did say earlier in that, I think that was like an 8-something minute video. He did say earlier in that video, he was kind of dancing around a lot of shit, but like in that video, he did say that he thought Milestone was important and that, you know, it was something that you needed, to exist. But it was also within the same breath, he was like, yeah, but I don't give a fuck about that shit. Once again, this is a video
hard R.
Yeah, I just want to say real quick, like, calling it FUBU is fucking crazy.
That
like,
is nuts. Yeah.
It does have like black characters that are like black on purpose. You know, it's like black writers writing black characters. But FUBU stands for us, by us. You know, it's like just hip hop culture clothing and shit. You know, like the idea that like that stuff is not really meant to be like for white audiences feels a little odd to me, given that like one of their main, and even I know, I'm not a comics person, even I know this, that one of their like big characters got adapted into a series that was also run by, like written for by one of the Milestone Media writers, Dwayne McDuffie, and that was Static Shock. And that was on mainstream television when I was a kid, and I watched it. It's crazy. Like, that's nuts.
Not liking Milestone. He's well within his rights. But I will say, it does strike me as a little sus that you like the black character who was a all lives matter, both sides are, and honestly was even kind of seen as problematic by other black people, which I feel like Rob really identifies with, because I noticed that some of the things he was talking about in various other threads, he was one of those people who was very adamant that he was like, oh, I don't want to be the voice of black politics. I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that. That's not my thing. And ultimately, in the last video that you put up talking about, I'll address this, it basically all boiled down to centrism. Like Rob basically bragged about being an enlightened centrist. I mean, he didn't call himself an enlightened centrist, but I mean, he was basically the enlightened centrist meme, that whole, oh, there's fault on both sides. Look, I get it. Yes. Is there fault on both sides? Sure. But when people talk about how they don't want to share their political opinions or they don't want to take a political stance, that's honestly, like, that's shorthand, at least to me. In my experience, I've generally been right about this, when dealing with people like this. In my life, when I have encountered people who say that, oh, I don't like talking about politics, or, oh, I don't really like sharing my political opinions, or I don't really like diving into the political arena, it's usually for one of two reasons. It's usually because they're afraid that you're either going to find out that they have either bullshit politics or no politics at all, or you have fucked up politics. And that's usually what that boils down to. It's one of those things, like I'm not talking about like, oh, I don't like doing this shit at work. I mean, I'm talking about like not wanting to do this shit, period, ever, on anything, regardless, no matter what. And
it's like, for the longest time, like guys like Gary, Nerdrotic and stuff, they got by basically pretending to be either centrist or non-political, you know what I mean? But even though they were obviously, not obviously, if you knew what you're looking for, knew what they were saying, they were appealing to right-wing politics. But, eventually they started moving out of that. I'd like to give us credit for kind of urging them to have to kind of shed that mask anyway.
I mean, I'll be. I know. I covered Gary not that long ago, and he still claims that he's independent, and it's like you're so full of fucking shit.
He's MAGA pilled all the way.
Oh yeah,
just like Gary July.
Wait,
sorry,
Gary, like Nerdrotic Gary?
Yeah.
That's crazy, because he literally JQ'd in one of his fucking videos.
He
was talking about Jewish
he
people
does that,
controlling everything. That's that's so nuts. Oh my god.
Yeah, no,
look, I mean, hey, think about it, because Republicans support Israel, so that is independent. You know what I mean? So I'm sure that's some way that that's how Nazis justify that, I think.
Age we live in, you might have been able to get away with that like prior to 2016, but in the day and age we live in now, I feel like if you don't stand for anything, then you stand for nothing, or you stand for the status quo. Take that how you wanna, but that's just how I look at things. And I'm sorry, but you having a platform as big as you have, and then in the same breath wanting to, I don't want to share my opinions on that stuff. I don't want to be this. I don't want to be that. I mean, you know, it's your prerogative. You, at the very least, should have a better excuse than fault on both sides. And that's something that Rob's been throwing around for a while, that whole fault on both sides. Fault on both sides. I'm not going to pick a side, but fault on both sides. And because that's just a really easy way for people to not pick a side. To be a fence sitter, to be a both sideser, you're a coward. That's basically what you are. When people tell me that they're a centrist, that's just a really fancy word to tell me you're a coward, that you stand for nothing, that you'll literally just stand idly by because you don't have an opinion on anything. At least not.
I'm going to pause this for a second. I want to reiterate this. Nobody is saying that you can't listen to the other side. There's a difference between listening, understanding, and supporting the other side.
Well, that also ignores the whole conversation we had about platforms and responsibility. What do you even?
Chariot literally laid it all out like 30 minutes ago. That suggesting that the only way we can keep up with what they're doing is by supporting them on different platforms is the argument doesn't even make sense. Nobody is mad that Rob or anybody quote unquote listens to the other side. I literally make videos on this stuff.
Well, let's talk about YouTube news, YouTube new boot, whatever. Okay, so what's the thing in the center that we're referring to when we say the other side? What's the thing that we're on one side of and they're on the other side of? Let's think about that real quick. What do you think that is?
So I'm arguing with you. Wait, I'm arguing with you, Eric DeBunk. I think you're trying to say I'm not arguing with you, right? I think that's what you're saying.
But then you're making points about stuff that we've already addressed, and as if we're still on that.
Yes, I'm not yelling at you. I'm yelling at the concept that we would have to support them to listen to what they're saying. I don't think that is the fair statement, and that's the entire argument that's being made about Rob, is that there's a show of support being masked as, oh, we need to listen to what they're saying. That's what the whole debate is. Yeah, like I understand. I understand what you're saying. I get it. I don't agree with you, but I'm saying like we've already addressed this concept of like showing support equaling like listening to the other side. Like we've already addressed that. Cherry did a great job of it earlier.
I just want to like add on to that. Like I literally put out a video today that people can go watch. That's a response to the critical drinker. I watched like 7 different critical drinker videos and like talked about them.
Sorry.
And I know it was that thing was a labor. I would say labor of love. That probably sounds wrong, but it was a labor.
It's dedication.
And, it took me forever to finish it just because it was very difficult. But the thing that you'll notice if you watch that video is like because it's a scripted, structured essay. I watched all of his videos and then like wrote the response. So I was necessarily like listening to what he had to say. And B, like, if you watch the video, you'll see there's timestamps on screen, right? So, like, I'm literally showing you where in his videos you could check to see the context for what I'm talking about. So I'm, like, I don't think anybody here is really against literally listening. Because, like, if you want to refute the argument, you have to listen to the argument. But, like, this is a euphemism that Rob is using for supporting. Listening and supporting are technically 2 different things, but he says listening when he means supporting. So to say, "Oh, I think he's right about that," it's just it's taking the lie at face value. You know,
you're absolutely right in the sense that a person can listen to the other side of a topic, even if it is a topic, something that's like you're just morally standing your ground on, like being racist is bad, right? And you want to hear out what the racists have to say. Sure, I can do that, and it's not going to make me change my mind or anything. What it's going to do is it's going to frustrate me because I'm so morally against that. I find it so fucking repugnant. The only reason I might have to listen to that is if I want to say something against directly what they're saying, right? So, like, I don't see the value. I don't understand what the value is of, like, if you disagree with somebody on the issue of race or whether trans people are valid or whether fucking women should have equal rights or whatever it is like this. If you don't agree with them and you say you don't agree with them, but you still want to hear them out, why? What is that doing for you?
I just want to say, like, because it seems like this chatter is confused why we're arguing against what they're saying.
Yeah.
I just want to lay out very specifically, like, as an analogy, if Donald Trump gets on the news and he talks about like the Epstein files, but he blames it on Bill Clinton, and then you go online and you start posting stuff like, yeah, dude, we really should do something about Bill Clinton, but like, you know that he's ignored. Well, Bill Clinton is in the Epstein files. It's like if he blamed AOC, you know. It's like a distraction, and then you were like, well, if AOC is in the Epstein files, then I agree that we should investigate her. It's like an obfuscation because Donald Trump is the criminal, the one of the main criminals implicated in that case, right? We're not talking past each other. I just have to say we're not talking past each other. My problem is that you are saying something that is it's a response to a lie that like I think is rhetorically problematic. It's technically true, but you shouldn't be saying it. That's the problem.
We should just get off talking about this dude because he's not having the same conversation we are, or he's not understanding where our point is. So like, let's just move on. I did want to say real quick, I did not, holy shit, know that James Vanderbeek died. That sucks. I watched a few episodes of Dawson's Creek back in the day, but I'll tell you what, he was awesome in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back as himself.
Yeah, the Dawson and the pie fucker.
Unfortunately, I have some other Kevin Smith related news, and God is dead. Bud Cort, who played the earthly body of God in Dogma, and of course, more famously, Harold and Maude. He's also died today.
But I thought Alanis Morissette played God in Dogma.
She was God. He was God on Earth.
Oh,
he was the body. He was the body that gets assaulted by the Stitch.
By the way, I'll say this again. I'm really excited to say this every stream. Basically, Dogma is now. You're able to watch it in full HD. You're able to buy it, rent it, whatever. It hasn't been available even beyond DVD quality ever, and now it's available. Thank God. Thank Alanis Morissette. All right.
Except in the UK where it was available on Blu-ray.
Fuck off! Come on.
I do have to say I have to jump out of here because it's past my time. But
gotcha.
Anyway, I will catch up with all this when I get home. I'll watch the rest of the video. But I want to give a shout out to the chat, the super chatters, everybody that's here participating and listening to both sides, I guess, if you could say here. Anyway, thanks everyone, and thanks everybody in the chat. Be good.
Later,
don't get banned.
Later.
See you
well, this video is pretty much over. He said all the goods there. Later, Eric. Sorry. And I have one little thing that we could look at that was sent to me that's kind of amusing. This is about this is a response to Birdman's video where he. Well, let's take a look.
So we know that it wasn't just like an accidental post, or he didn't really read the full thing and just posted it or anything like that. This was an intentional racism.
Okay, good. Let's see those receipts. Yeah.
Yes. You're allowed to
waiting.
You're allowed
you ask, yes, Ryan is a provable racist. Here he is giving the Batman a lower score specifically because apparently there was insufficient white representation amongst heroic characters, even though the movie is literally about Batman, and that the mayor, Jim Gordon, and Catwoman were portrayed by black actors.
But there were only a couple good people in this movie. You had Bruce Wayne, Batman, and you had Alfred. Those are the only two good white people. The rest of the three other major players that I would consider like overall like moral good people were, you had Jim Gordon, who's black in this. You had Catwoman, who's not white in this. And then you had the mayor, who's a black woman. Again, very much on the nose for current day Hollywood. Did not like that. Took a little bit off the score for me, to be honest.
So, as we can see, this is not an accusation I'm levying against Ryan arbitrarily.
Damn.
So yeah, before we hear what they have to say about that, I want to say it would even be. I'm not going to say. I think it is racist. I think Ryan's take is clearly racist there. I know that you've addressed it in debates before, Bob. But I would be willing to debate the claim that it is objectively racist. I kind of see where I don't agree with it. I think it is very much racist, but I can see where a chud would find a foothold to argue with that. You know what I mean? Like say, well, it's just and we've heard him try to do it and stuff like that, and I don't think anybody could convince me, but I definitely see where it would be possible for a chud to attempt to argue against that being objectively actually racism, right?
Yeah, you have.
But
I feel like you have to be actively looking for the not racist take, but I could see.
Well, we don't even get to have that conversation. They don't have that conversation because the way that they respond is fucking insane. It's like they didn't even listen to them. So listen to this.
Proven racist by the racist prover. Got him.
Isn't this a typical? This was a typical complaint by black people that only the black representation in movies was bad guys, right? Criminals and thugs.
Mm-hmm.
That was a common complaint, right? Ryan's just making the same complaint now that the roles have been reversed. All the black people are morally degenerate, terrible people.
Well, you didn't know that if back in the day there was a movie and it had a bunch of black people only portraying criminals and you called it out, that meant you were racist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Undeniable.
Well,
I like that this is offered up
this
as
is
undeniable.
Genuinely
Proved.
I'm losing brain cells.
Like,
so real quick, number one, yeah, that was an issue. Lots of black characters got tokenized and stuff like that. That's where all that came from. But even more important, we're talking about the fucking Batman.
This was the first fucking thing the Birdman said in the fucking clip. He was literally literally about like a good white man.
Yeah,
he's the main character. He's heroic, and he's more heroic than every black character in that film.
Yeah,
literally.
I mean, think about it. Like, Commissioner Gordon has failed at being a cop, or he's not Commissioner Gordon at first, but like, everybody, the system has failed. Everybody's failed. Batman's the only one that can show up and do things the right way or whatever and get the job done. And he's a white guy.
And importantly, we see him like suffer for it. He's like, he's at his wit's end. He's doing so much. And it's just like, there's like scenes in the film where like Commissioner Gordon is realizing like how deep the corruption goes. And that of course implicates the mayoral candidate, the good one, the black woman whose name I can't remember.
Well, honestly, I don't think that any of that even matters because their argument is so facile, so idiotic, because what Birdman is pointing out that they seem to miss is that it's not a question of Ryan Cannell saying, oh, all the black people in this are good and all the white people are bad, because he doesn't say that. He says that Alfred and Bruce, although obviously this is he's incorrect, but he says they're the only two good white men, and so he literally thought the film was worse because they were only two quote unquote good white men and three good black characters. The film was worse, whereas the complaints about casting previously was never that it made the film worse, is that it was racist. It was racist to always portray the black characters either as criminals, degenerates, or to kill them off quickly. That was always the complaint of the films.
With these guys, it always seems like the thing that they do is they hear a take, like they just heard that, and then whatever their mind connects to that is loosely kind of related or whatever, they don't think through an argument. It's just, he goes, oh yeah, this reminds me of how black people complained about, so I'm just going to say that as if that's some valid pushback against this being racist, a racist fucking take, when it's not. It's like, yeah, these guys have their brain rotten to the core.
He literally, Cannell literally says he thought less of the film. He took points off the score of the film because either there were too many good black characters or too few good white characters, which, like you said, you can argue whether that's I'd say that's pretty clear cut that his issue was with the race of the characters and the way they were portrayed. So I would say it is pretty racist.
Well, the underlying thing is like that, it's wrong to say that black people can be good and white people can be bad. Is that what like the underlying kind of implication is, maybe?
Also that white people can be good?
Just the fact that these guys even have a show is like just massively indicative of the fact that conservative content creators, and that is absolutely who the fuck these guys are. I don't buy for a second that they're moderates or socialists. the way, like, their entire model is being the excuse-making industrial complex for every shitty and moronic right-wing take that floats around. They have to do a
They are the epitome of the centrist YouTubers, right? Like whenever like you look back at the, they used to get away with it, I think more, back in the day, but like they would have Jordan Peterson they had on at one time, I think. They would have all of the, the right wingers on the rise. And their grift would stop. There's like a lower echelon, lower tier of show that's what they're at. That these people would stop on and be a guest on their way up. Meanwhile, they didn't fucking get anywhere. They didn't go any further up. But
these dudes are such fucking liars. Anybody, by the way, if you guys like, if this clip obviously doesn't convince some people in the chat, look up the Sitch and Adam debate with Sam Cedar. These guys are huge fucking liars and hypocrites too. Genuinely, like the way that they completely fucking pretended to not understand what Sam was talking about and acted in pure bad faith. These guys genuinely made the argument. Like, this was the moment when I knew, okay, they're just fucking stupid. They're just, they get a paycheck for being stupid. They're never going to grow. They're never going to become more intelligent. That is their entire content model. They genuinely made the argument because like they brought up that Sam believes in stochastic terrorism. And the idea that right-wing people like spreading like dehumanizing bigotry about minority groups can contribute to violence towards those minority groups. So they bring up to Sam, they literally made the argument, don't you think calling people Nazis has the same effect? That people will contribute, that it'll contribute to stochastic violence, ignoring literal Nazis exist. There's no such thing as a Jewish cabal that runs the world, but there are Nazis, and the idea that if you call them such, you're instigating violence is fucking insane. And B, these guys literally made that argument just to make an excuse for the shit that they were trying to pull with Sam, where they were acting like they didn't understand why he was taking issue with an American exceptionalist argument.
Well, I mean, never mind. Like there are examples. Well. There are examples of fucking Matt Walsh Matt Walsh saying that the Boston Children's Hospital is transing babies or whatever the fuck, and like they get actual bomb threats to the hospital. You know what I mean? Luckily, didn't get any actual bombs. Meanwhile, show me where there's groups of Nazis getting fucking bomb threats from.
Also,
what I mean?
Too, being a Nazi is a choice. Like it's just the alternative that you have to impose is to imply that people choose to be black. Go fuck yourself. You're an idiot. And like I'm sorry, these guys really piss me off. Like they
hold on, Chariot. I want to you're very story minded. I respect your views and your analysis of stories. So this is actually great to have you on for this. This is a clip of me and Bob conversing with Adam and Sitch a while back. It was actually almost to the day. It's been how many years? Because it was on Valentine's Day. Remember?
That's right. Yeah.
This is our Valentine's Day. And so we're talking about WandaVision and She-Hulk and stuff. I forget exactly what this part of the clip says, but I think it's the She-Hulk thing where,
WandaVision is a good example of people seeing wokeness in it because, they would look at the show and they'd say, okay, you have a show where basically the male characters who are more stereotypically masculine are portrayed as evil. You have the evil masculine military general guy, even though he's technically doing the right thing. He's trying to stop, Wanda, who's basically being completely evil. And then the men that are considered more.
Not gonna lie, I always find it interesting looking at the looks on my face because I remember the thought process when he's bringing this stuff up, and I'm going, the fuck are you on about?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't on camera that day, but I like sincerely trying to follow somebody like this, like sincerely, and just like being like, hold on, you're saying something every few words, basically, that is just such an assumption of weird shit that I you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm trying to parse it together, but I'm like, the fuck are you on about, motherfucker?
More good are classically, I hate to use these terms, but are more stereotypically, passive or female in terms of kind of their characteristics. And
just like all the assumptions of like, well, passive means female. Obviously, those two things are the same.
The way that the show basically coddled Wanda, and they even had like a character, I forget her name. It was Captain Marvel character's daughter. Enter in the show and basically make excuses for the fact that Wanda is, basically being a horrible villain, mind controlling, all these people and inflicting horrible pain on them. And when this is called out by the show gives this excuse in the dialogue of like, well, you don't know how much Wanda has lost, you know, as an excuse. And it seems like there's like just this weird attitude towards, you know, gender roles in some of the MCU properties that I think people are picking up on.
The look on
That
my
entire
face.
monologue is just him saying, like, effectively saying, well, you know, people are saying this. A lot of people think this. People are picking up on this. Why don't you say what you fucking believe? You little
Well, it's
coward.
also right,
You
and it's also just
sniveling
this
little
idea that
fucking
like
prick.
these chuds do this all the time, where they're like, if a character has a viewpoint, that means that the whole show has that viewpoint. If a character has something to say, that then the entire show and then the writers that by default are obviously activists because they had a character say something. You know, they don't understand. They just fundamentally don't understand writing, and like that. It actually is possible for a writer to write a character that believes completely different things than what they do. You know what I mean?
Not only
Very common.
Not only that, but they seem to dismiss the idea that there can be two conflicting things going on with the same character. Like, Wanda was only portrayed as good, and the quote-unquote villain was only portrayed as bad. Whereas, in fact, bad when he was trying to do something good. Whereas, as I remember it, the army guy villain was actually trying to do something horrific.
He was, yeah. That's what you find out.
As well as also being kind of on the side of good because he was trying to stop Wanda, whereas Wanda was doing something bad and also something that she felt was good. So it's
well, I think this ties into the She-Hulk part of it. I don't know if that's mentioned in this, but like the idea that, you know, as we point out when it's like this was a lead up to, you know, this is an ongoing narrative on the MCU. So this WandaVision was very intentionally kind of the villain setup for her to be the villain, the antagonist in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, where she very clearly was that. She was very clearly in the wrong, right? Like, so I don't think the show ever said she's right to be doing this. I think the show very obviously says that she's brainwashing people. That's not fucking good. That's not good at all. Like, it seems like the only thing that would make them happy is if they shoot her in the head at the end of the show. Like, this is evil. You gotta die, bitch, or something like that, you know? But, you know, he goes on when we talk about She-Hulk to say that because at the beginning of She-Hulk, she has that moment where Bruce is trying to teach her or whatever, and they all got so upset, all the chuds did, because she said, oh, I don't need to blah, blah, blah. You know, women deal with stuff all the time. So, you know, which, never mind the point that women do deal with things that men don't, but like they were taking issue because, oh, how can she say she can control the Hulk better than Bruce can? And it's like, obviously this is a setup for her to have a little bit of hubris, and this is going to blow up in her face. Clearly. I mean, I was pretty confident in that. And then, of course, you know, second or last episode or whatever, she hulks out, freaks out in public, and, you know, does the thing. And it's like, he literally says that doesn't count because it's not part of her story arc. I was like, dude, that's a story arc. She's like, no, this is a different episode. Like
the whole, this is just from memory, obviously, but like the whole of the advertising for WandaVision is that like it's like uncanny and like characters are like suspicious that of like, you know, the stuff they're experiencing that's like not real. There's a whole scene where like Vision is trying to figure it out. Like it's the idea that the show maintains that what Wanda is doing like there's no problem with it, like she's not a morally at best morally ambiguous character, is so weird, especially because the films have this whole angle where it's like if she doesn't make good judgments with her power, people will get hurt and bad things will happen, you know, which obviously happens in the film where she's introduced in Age of Ultron. So the idea that this is a character who's like promoting something that she's doing, it's just so dull.
Yeah.
This is just troglodytic dullard bullshit.
I've gotten into arguments with people, I think especially on stream one time. I got in an argument with maybe it was Jarbo about the fact that like Tony Stark gets a pass on so much shit that he's done compared to Wanda, right? Well, like, you want to talk about two characters that are very flawed, that have made some fucking bad choices, that have hurt and killed a lot of people, and yet people want to fucking literally treat Wanda like she's, you know, they're coming after her with torches and shit. And meanwhile, every movie, Tony Stark's just like, whoops, my bad. I won in the end, so things are okay. You know?
Oh, did I make a robot that tried to conquer the world? Whoopsie. Whoopsie.
Well, even more of a one-to-one comparison, as you were talking about She-Hulk there, she makes the whole show makes a point about accountability as well, because essentially she gets imprisoned for going mad, smashing a TV screen and scaring some people, whereas the Hulk got away with basically destroying Harlem.
And then what he did in South Africa as well. Like, I mean, he I don't think they said how many people, but he killed a few people in Age of Ultron. Of course, he was mind controlled by her. So,
first of all, like, I'm not going to bring up Loki because I think like that was still unfolding when this stream would have happened. But like, have these guys heard of Bucky Barnes? He killed Tony's mom. What?
Yeah. And he's a senator now.
He's a hero. They treat him like a hero. God damn it! Like,
I mean, it's just when you point out that these are inconsistent things, and then they still argue. I mean, it's okay to be wrong. Like, if you were to like have not considered Bucky's arc or the harm he's caused, or you not considered Tony's or whatever. But then if somebody points it out and they're like, "Hey, man, actually, these other characters have done some real fucked up shit too," and there are extenuating circumstances. You want to not include the fact that Wanda was very clearly under severe mental distress and had some stuff going on. You want to dismiss that, but you don't want to think about how Bucky killed people, or you do want to excuse it because he was mind controlled. Or you don't want to think about how Tony, he tried to create Ultron for good intentions or whatever, or he thought he was doing the right thing with the fucking Accords or whatever. And it's like, the only thing you can come to at the end of it, if they can still try and argue this point, is that you're doing sexism, man. You don't want a woman to have the same, understanding towards her flaws as you give a man. Simple as that.
Well, this is just like motivated reasoning, because like if a female character is a bad person, guys like this are like, oh, they think it's okay when women are bad people. But if a male character is a bad person, they go, oh, they hate men. Like that's motivated reasoning. Like that's you're a liar. You're a liar. Oh my God.
I mean, he is pretty beautiful, to be honest.
I didn't hear this if Sitch said it, so I can't comment on whether that was what was said, or who said that. But just to address Saigon in the chat, suicidal empathy sounds like a Nazi description of altruism. Suicidal empathy, the popularization of that phrase, does come from the far right.
Yeah.
So anybody advocating that, like, you're spreading far right propaganda already.
What's funny about these two idiots, though, is I don't think it was the Sam Cedar debate, but there was one guest that they had on that was just so much more knowledgeable than these two morons, that Adam said 3 words during the entire 2-hour conversation. He could not answer for anything, any of his beliefs, when confronted with fact. And I can't remember who it was that was speaking to them, but yeah, he just completely shut up, didn't say anything.
Well, I mean, so most of the time, I actually kind of enjoyed talking to Sitch for the most part. Like, if it was just me and Bob and Sitch, or me and Sitch, or whatever, I don't feel like it would have been a shitty experience, even if I disagree with him a lot. But he at least seemed to, argue with, I don't know about good faith, but he would address points and stuff like that.
Yeah,
whereas, like, Adam was just being a fucking piece of shit. And, like, anytime Sitch would kind of
troll, like, he's a valueless little troll.
Anytime Sitch would kind of get back into a corner with his argument, which he basically did every time, because every time me and Bob were like, dude, that doesn't make any sense, and here's why. Then Adam would come in with some bullshit, and it was pretty egregious.
I would kind of disagree with a lot of that read.
That's a weird read of WandaVision. I've actually never heard that read before, so it's taking me a moment.
I have a little bit. I've kind of got into it with somebody about it, but like the idea that, no, I don't think that the show excuses what she's done. The show, and very clearly, when you follow up with Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, that was just the beginning of this arc where she's going, she's losing it. She lost it, dude. Like, she is the villain in Doctor Strange. That was just kind of
I'm not disagreeing with that, obviously, but that's a different writer, different director.
But I mean, it was the plan.
WandaVision was pretty much set up to be like her villain origin story, almost.
Right, and also, it's like, to say it's evil, if you want to call it that, that's a way to judge it.
Well, I know you don't like the word evil, but immoral, whatever word you want.
It's definitely immoral. Definitely immoral, definitely fucked up. I don't think the show at all or anybody is excusing that she mind controlled a bunch of people and stuff like that. I think what it was doing was approaching it with a sense of empathy for her mental state, which is different than if she was literally evil and deciding I'm gonna fucking do this evil shit. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't like a villainous intent. It was she didn't fully understand what she was doing, and then once she did, she was just kind of so lost in it. And like I think that's actually a reflection of how sometimes people with mental health issues are treated in the real world. I think that's more what it was commenting on than any kind of gender thing. And also Vision, Vision, he was kind of just moping around a lot when he was in the show, but at the end he had a badass fight with the other Vision. So I don't agree that he was just like not doing anything manly or whatever, but he's a robot, so maybe it shouldn't apply.
So yeah, there's that part. There's the She-Hulk one is the most insane one. Bob, you remember that?
Yes, yeah.
And the argument literally became, is her doing something early in the season and then that being followed up on directly later in the season, is that an arc? Is that part of her arc or not? What would you say, Sherry?
Sorry, can you repeat the question? I was just trying not to get angry.
So if a character does something at the beginning of a TV season, and then later on in the season, that thing directly is followed up on and commented on, or kind of addressed, is that part of the character's arc?
Yeah, it's called writing.
Yeah.
That sounds woke to me.
It's called character development. It's called characters have internal struggles, the struggle of the character versus themselves. Basically, like almost every female MCU hero that I've seen in a film. Obviously, I'm not as into these as some people, but just the ones that I've seen, like Captain Marvel got brought up earlier. Captain Marvel, literally, there's like a whole thing where she's like struggling with her worldview, and there's a certain point in the film where she's realizing that she's been a bad person this whole. She's been fighting for the bad guys.
Yeah.
She's literally a bad guy at the beginning of the movie.
Sorry, I got a little spicy earlier with Sitch just because I feel like he's really mealy mouthed. He's not the worst of the two of them.
No,
surprisingly,
but they both serve. Fortunately, they haven't grown a whole lot, so they don't serve a whole lot of the purpose of radicalization. But they are part of the pipeline, and they definitely were a bigger part of it at one point, I think. Yeah. What else we got?
I have a clip from Rob from a live stream that he did while we were streaming, and he addresses this stuff. And I kind of want to go over that before we wrap up.
Does he stream much?
No, not that often, which I find is interesting. That he's streaming.
Oh yeah, somebody
now.
said something earlier in chat, like, you guys got my man streaming Marvel Rivals.
Yeah,
that made me crack up. I had to mute myself earlier.
But I haven't been able, because I've been on here, I haven't been able to really dive into this, but I was looking at this transcript and he does address it. And looking at the transcript, it seems like he says some stuff I'm not thrilled with, but let's see.
Okay. That whole beef thing. I don't know that I would call it beef. Yeah, it's videos that
Bob
going on out there. All I do is follow Nerdrotic and Critical Drinker on Twitter.
Here, what? Can you give me? Oh shit!
I'm trying again. Okay,
technical difficulties. And now it's muted.
Sorry, I had to. I guess you guys don't even notice that I had to leave the stream with my other me. But here we go. Bob, do you want to send me the link with the time code? I can play that, or?
Oh wait, wait, am I not sharing audio?
Yeah.
No, you were. It was just really
the audio.
I couldn't hear anything.
No, I couldn't hear anything either.
Interesting.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm not. I think the audio got disconnected. Hold on. Let me go ahead and turn this off. Right.
What's up, Crazy Joe? How's it going, man?
We'll get this. Don't worry.
Twerking is accelerationism. Everybody knows that.
And communism.
Everything's communism. Right, let's give this one more shot.
Yeah, that I watch their videos and I'm subscribed to their channels. Not at all.
Let me rewind you a little bit since I wasn't playing audio at all before.
Rank sounds really toxic. Oh yeah. Okay, that whole beef thing. I don't know that I would.
Is this coming in better?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's still pretty choppy, but yeah.
Okay.
Call it beef. Yeah, it's. I've kind of been keeping track of a lot of the videos that have been going on out there. All I do is follow Nerdrotic and Critical Drinker on Twitter. I don't know where people got the idea that I watch their videos and I'm subscribed to their channels. Not at all. Like I don't retweet the things they say. I don't tell people to go check out their content. Honestly, the only way people even knew that I follow them is because they went through my. So I've never really publicly endorsed them, but it's
now you have.
It's weird, you know. At the end of the day, from what I get between the other videos that I've seen, is that people just kind of have this idea that by following them, it means that I agree with everything they say. Not really, right? I don't agree with everything they say.
Bob? Hello?
Bob's muted.
Am I audible?
It's not looking great on my end. Is it looking all right on your guys' end? Or are you?
No, it's looking pretty. It's pretty choppy. It's hard to keep followed, honestly.
I kind of heard what he was saying. This is that same lie again, where he's like,
it's just bullshit.
People think that I.
It
agree
seems
with them
like
about everything. Nobody said that. Nobody said that. I literally.
I mean, that is honestly a very chuddy response to valid criticism. You know, to not even actually hear the criticism as what has been said, and then just to give some, distracting, blanket denial be based on something that wasn't really said.
Well, what did I say earlier, right?
Yeah.
Like I literally said, this is the same lie they always use, and lo and behold, he's doing it again. He couldn't help himself.
Yeah. It's
I
all,
mean,
it's all he has. It's the only defense he has. Yeah.
He has to understand that, like, you maybe not have promoted them before, but you are now, technically. But I mean, you tacitly were doing it, passively, like by being, the only reason anybody knows, well, that's the thing. People can go look and see who you're following. And if you're someone with 2.6 million subscribers, you're going to have some level of people that look up to you and respect you and might go, hey, I wonder who he follows. I want to follow that person.
Yeah.
It's not that fucking hard to understand this, Rob. You know what I mean? Now, maybe he's watching. I don't know. Maybe he'll see it later. But Rob, you're smarter than this, man. It seems really fucking dishonest that you're going this route with it. When that's nobody said that if you follow them, you agree with them. Go watch the rest of the stream, Rob. Listen to what we actually had to say.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Rob, if you're watching this, who do you main in Marvel Rivals? It's not relevant. I just wanted to know.
What did you ask him?
I said, who does he main in Marvel Rivals?
Okay. I've been meaning to start that game. I just haven't done it yet. My son really wants to, and we just haven't done it. Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I'm tempted because it's a Marvel game, but also it's also the type of game that probably frustrate the shit out of me.
It's one of those ones that's like, if you're playing with friends, it can be fun, but like grinding ranked and competitive, it just seems like torment. Overwatch has been like that for a while as well.
in case you're wondering, it looks like he's playing Moon Knight right now.
Yeah, that makes sense. It wasn't going to be Cloak and Dagger, like.
Yeah,
they hated Elmo, man. I don't know what the deal was with that. Like, I mean, it doesn't make them look cool. It doesn't make them look like they have a good foothold in the culture when what they're doing is fucking dogpiling Elmo on Twitter. I know y'all said that already, but like, it's not a great look for where they're at. I was saying this yesterday. There was about a year ago, like shortly after the election, or after Trump took office and stuff, there was a little while there where it started to kind of feel like, oh man, they really did get the culture, didn't they? They fucking got the culture. They poisoned it just enough. They've got their foothold in it, and it doesn't feel like that anymore. I mean, of course, it's all pretty amorphous and vibes based anyway, but it could just be algorithm based for all I know. But like, it doesn't seem like the culture's really with them anymore. So.
I do think, I mean, something funny about that is it's probably difficult for them to occupy that position because they always have to be under attack. When Donald Trump got elected, there was a lot of celebration where they were like, we won, we're going to do this, you know, hold this L, blah, blah, blah. They were really end zone dancing on people. And then a little time passed and they were like, oh, fuck, if we don't pretend to be under attack, we have nothing. So they were just like, oh, never mind. Actually, it's the left is still in control of everything.
And then you start piling on, you know, dumb decisions like, you know, Trump literally breaking the three things that he swore he was going to do as a president that he managed to get. You know, he managed to get a bunch of young males to vote for him that didn't vote for him previously, that are a lot of them were their first time voting, and he managed to get a lot of them. And that pushed him over the edge because they wanted no wars, because they wanted Epstein files. You know what I mean? And lo and behold, well, we got the Epstein files eventually, but you know, look at everything he did to try and prevent it, as well as just going, you know, fucking bombing Iran and everything else. It's you know, apparently some of these fucking youngins these days, apparently, it seems like they might be kind of naive, but they do have some kind of principle. And I was surprised by that.
Well, I think it's, you know, something that I've noticed with my own peers is like a lot of us were like, and still are, more left-wing than our parents. Because something that I've noticed is like the millennials are not shifting to the right as hard as some other generations did. But I do notice that like the right-wing ones have calcified more. You know, when they were younger, it used to be like, well, you know, I want my guns, but I also want my weed. So I'm kind of a moderate, but I'll vote right, I'll vote left, whatever. Those guys are a lot rarer now.
Yeah.
And I mean like genuine ones, like the genuine kind of libertarian moderates are pretty rare. But I do think that there's something to be said for like younger people who just like who just couldn't have known personally, you know, like they were not prepared by their environment to understand Trump won.
Right.
And they were not like educated into it, and they didn't witness it personally as legal adults who could vote. So like, you know, 4 years later, they're looking at Donald Trump and they're thinking like, oh, I guess I kind of remember what things were like when I was younger, but they would have had to have been at most like, you know, if they were 18 and they voted Trump, they would have been like 14 when he
right. That's something that's really hard to. It's really kind of like how it is trying to understand people who are prequel lovers over any other Star Wars trilogy. You know, it's a similar thing. Like there are people that grew up with Trump as president, and so he's just presidential to them. To some degree, like he's a valid presidential presence, whereas like to most of us we were like, fuck no, this guy can't be president, and then he was. But like, you know, they don't see him or didn't see him in that same way to what you're saying.
Also, like Donald Trump basically ran unchallenged. There was no primary for the Democrats, so they didn't really have anybody with real visibility other than Joe Biden, who did like 2 debates and dropped out. Because he fell
literally in the second debate he dropped out. Like he dropped out of consciousness.
So like then you know, it's whatever it was, like a few weeks, and then they have their convention, and then they pick Harris, and then her campaign even petered out a few weeks ahead of the election. There was just less.
With hers, what it was the moment that they, you know, because at first they were doing the weird thing, and that was working really well. Just calling them weird. That was it. It's so simple, and it was, you know.
That was the Tim Walz thing. That was
right, but then she started listening to the fucking guy that owns Uber or whatever. Was like they let him into, you know, the campaign as far as like an advisor, and she started appealing more to corporates. She started appealing to fucking Republicans. It's like anybody that doesn't have the values or, you know, for like actually making the country better for everybody, and they're just like being spiteful with their politics. You shouldn't fucking appeal to them. Simple as that.
Well, you know, more of those young people who were naive and anti-war might have voted Harris if she could have moved left on shit like Israel. You know, like I kind of think if she said, you know what, Joe Biden gave a lot of arms to Israel, and I'm gonna immediately stop doing that. I'm gonna condition aid. We're not.
But that's where the DNC comes in as being at fault, because they literally just transferred his support to her, and it came with strings. Like you can't shit talk Biden. You can't say anything negative. You have to just, you know, boost him up. Meanwhile, don't diminish any of his accomplishments, even though, you know, some of them is hard to promote some of them, and also promote your own accomplishments as vice president when she was literally sidelined the whole time. She was back in the background almost the entire presidency.
Well, they put her on the mic and had her do that. Like literally the most famous thing she said was "do not come." So it's like, okay, so your party's like pro-war and anti-immigrant. Of course, people are going to vote Republicans because they're just better at being the thing you want to be. You know, like it's a all time. The Biden run, subsequently also the Harris run. That's an all-time bag fumble. I've never seen anything like that. I don't think I've ever read about anything like that.
And the thing is that it emboldened the right to think that they earned that shit, and they absolutely didn't. But real quick, I'm gonna have to go, but I wanted to show this clip. This is another clip from not from the same hearings, but this is on ICE, and I just find it interesting that well, we'll see.
Do you know what other regimes in the 20th century required similar proof of citizenship?
Yes, sir.
What?
Sir, there was various nefarious regimes that did that.
Is Nazi Germany one?
Yes, but
is the Soviet Union one?
I honestly,
sir, I'm asking the questions. Is the Soviet Union one?
Yes, sir, but I totally, this is the wrong type of questioning.
I'll tell you what the wrong.
It's the wrong question because it makes me look bad. Okay.
Yeah, this is devastating to my argument.
I find it like I kind of got caught up the first time I watched it because he tried to say various and nefarious, and I'm like, what are you, Eminem answering this shit? Come on, man. Get with it.
But actually, sir, it's Holocaust Museum.
Reclaiming my time, sir.
If you want to go
reclaiming my time, Mr. Chairman.
It's not the men and women of ICE that are out there doing it every day. So to say that the men and women of ICE that
Mr. Chairman, I'm reclaiming my time. I would like my time back, please. Please give me another 15 seconds because he was unnecessarily speaking.
Yeah, that's just not good, man. Like that young people don't want to hear that shit. I mean, it's almost like we you know, people know it's true. You know, people know, we see how much money goes into the fucking military budget, and yeah, it's true. Of course it is, because as much as our money goes into that shit, that doesn't go to things that are, you know, way more worthy of the money and need it way more, and would you know, prop up a healthier democracy way more than that does. Yeah, everybody knows we're fucking badasses. Great, but who cares? You don't need, that's not something to fucking, you know, crow about. But
I just want to say, like, the Democrats have fielded in my lifetime like one unstoppable candidate, and that man was Barack Obama.
Yeah.
And that he just could not, like, they had nothing on him. They couldn't take him down at all. People had an absurd amount of faith in him, and they don't seem to understand why he won, because they think, oh, he won because he was respectable. That's why all these assholes like Pete Buttigieg are always imitating Obama's cadence, because they think that's why he won. The problem is they don't want to encounter the fact being a warmonger is not respectable. You know, the only people really going at Obama for that were Fox News viewers who already hated him because he was black, so that was never going to hurt him. And, like, you know, if you're in a race now and your base figures out, or independents, God forbid, figure out that you're the warmonger candidate, that's just not respect. In the 21st century, it's not respectable. The public doesn't respect you. They immediately think you're a con man. And you know, people say Americans don't vote based on foreign policy, which is true, but they do vote based on whether or not you can field a candidate who doesn't immediately look like a lying sack of shit. Some of them will vote for it because they're for it. Like the people who think Donald Trump was lying for the Lord, but some of them will not vote. They just won't turn out because they're like, well, who am I supposed to vote for?
They don't. I mean, they not realize we had the longest military engagements in the history of U.S. In our lifetime, and so everybody knows at least one person that's directly affected by, you know, going to war. That there's no reason to have it. That's been very, you know, obviously clearly shown. You know, the Iraq thing was a fucking joke, but it's a joke that got lots of people killed, lots of Iraqi people killed. Afghanistan, wow, we're going to fucking fight terrorism. We didn't even fucking find the guy that did it there. We're also, you know, that was funded by people in another country that we're friendly with. It becomes clear that this whole thing is a fucking scam. The military-industrial complex, in many ways, is just a scam on the American people. And so, yeah, we're still too close to that to think that that's something that you can appeal to and not think about, oh, they want to be like, oh, support the troops. And it's like, we don't want them to go fight. We don't want people to go fight wars that aren't absolutely fucking necessary, in extreme cases.
Well, it's just
but yeah.
it's one of those things where it's like Democrats seem to understand that they can wield the idea of expenditures, right? When they want to stop the left from advocating for single payer healthcare. They do that all the time. How are you going to pay for it? All their pundits say it. They say it on the debate stage. But some Americans have started to notice nobody asks that when it's the fucking military. And we spend a lot on the military, more than any other country. It is crazy. So some of them are going to notice that. And when you advocate for war implicitly, some of them might connect it with the idea that they pay for it. It's a pretty direct line. Some of them will just be like, look, I don't like Hamas or whatever's going on there. I don't like, they probably don't even know Hamas. They probably just think terrorist or whatever. I don't like that, but I don't want my tax dollars going to it. That's like a very basic line. Any median voter could believe something like that. So I just don't get the mental process of being like, I'm going to hit people on the cost of healthcare, but I'm not going to do it on war on principle and not even bring it up.
And the stupid thing about that is I was listening to something about post-war recovery of West Germany. And after the war, West Germany, South Korea, and Japan recovered quicker and better than any other country that was involved in that war, apart from America, because the one thing that they didn't have to do, that all the other countries did, was spend any money on military. Those three countries, because of their involvement in the war, were then banned from having a standing army of any kind for a long time. And so all of the money that they had was all invested in infrastructure, in technology, and so they recovered far quicker. Germany came out of rationing 6 years before the UK did, because we were still spending all our money funding a military. So if you want to know where your tax money is going, it's going to fund a military that really you don't actually need, certainly not to that degree.
Like, if the entire world attacked us all at once, we might have a pretty good fight on our hands. You know what I mean? Based on what we're looking at on screen right now, like there might be a pretty good fight, maybe.
One of these days,
if it was a money fight, but that's not
if it was a money fight
as well. It doesn't matter how rich your army is, or even how well trained they are. I mean, you should know that after, Vietnam and various other wars that you've been involved with. Doesn't matter how much money you've got.
I just think, one of these days, somebody's going to get on a debate stage at a Democratic Party debate, and they're going to say something along the lines of like, I'm sick of taxpayer dollars, going to Israel or whatever. And nobody who's in favor of that is going to have an answer, because they don't even think this is how, this is how people in the Democratic Party establishment think. And I know this because they talk and write like this between themselves. They don't think they should have to have an answer to that. They're openly disdainful of the idea that they would need to justify it. They think of it as like, oh, these rubes think we have a reason.
There are a handful of just like things that the both established parties they are just truisms, and you cannot not be outside of this realm of thought, no matter what, if you plan to be elected at all. And one of them is, God. You gotta be religious. You can't have some atheist get up there and say, I don't really believe in God. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't like that shit. And you can't be anti-Israel, or at least so far you haven't been able to. But I think that's been shifting quite a bit. I think that's I've seen some polling that suggests it's might be shifted the other way completely almost. But yeah, it's. I mean, by the way, Ryan, watch your mouth. You see what our block is compared to yours there, okay? So. I mean, so they're constantly like Russia and China pandering or fear mongering about Russia and China. We got to keep. It's like where, even if it is it's not just money. It's just like, does anybody really think that we don't have the military capability to fight Russia whenever they had their tanks were falling apart going into Ukraine and shit like that? No, sorry.
Well, yeah, I mean, Russia. To be honest, it wouldn't be hard to beat Russia. I mean, you could beat Russia easily if you halved your military budget and have no problems. And this is the other thing about your military budget as well. It, in effect, is a form of socialism that the Republicans are okay with, because all of those soldiers, they're not off fighting wars 90% of the time. 90%, probably 90% of them are not fighting wars 90% of the time. So you're paying them to be in the army to not do like their job.
By the way, did you guys see that there's this no-fly zone's been created around El Paso? See that news?
No, I didn't.
No.
So this might very well point to Trump's trying to do a distraction by going into Mexico. I don't know. Like that's what I've seen. The best guess is. Let me find it real quick. So there's certain dates whenever it's going to be very, very illegal to fly in this area of New Mexico, or in El Paso, New Mexico, rather. And it's, let me see. So Pentagon FAA dispute. Pentagon let CBP use anti-drone laser before FAA closed El Paso airspace. AP sources say. So the Pentagon allowed U.S. Customs and Border Protection to use an anti-drone laser earlier this week, leading the Federal Aviation Administration to suddenly close the airspace over El Paso, Texas on Wednesday, according to two people familiar with the situation who spoke on the condition of anonymity. The confusing arc of events began. So this is kind of an update that I didn't know about, the laser part. All I know is that I woke up this morning, one of the first things I saw in the news was that there was this no-fly zone declared for this stretch of dates. And people saying, why the fuck are they doing this? What's going on here? So let's see. Confusing arc. The events began as FAA announced it would be shutting down all flight traffic over the city on the U.S.-Mexican border for 10 days, stranding some travelers. But the closure ended up only lasting a few hours. Okay, so I guess it's already over. The Trump administration said it stemmed from the FAA Pentagon working to halt an incursion by Mexican cartel drones, which are not uncommon along the southern border. One of the people said the laser was deployed near Fort Bliss without coordinating with the FAA, of course. So they're literally just doing fucking lasers to shoot down drones, to to blind drones or whatever, and they're not letting anybody know about it. And they're, what could happen there?
Yeah, I mean, they just want to start ramping up the military involvement against any Latinos, basically.
They shut down the entire airport. That's crazy. Stranded travelers with luggage lined up the airline ticket counters and car rental desks before the order was lifted. Normal flights resumed after 7 arrivals and 7 departures were canceled. Some medical evacuation flights had to be rerouted. So, okay, well, it's a troubling lack of coordination, apparently. Investigation in last year's mid-air collision near Washington, D.C. between an airliner and Army helicopter killed 67 people, highlighted how the FAA and Pentagon were not always working well together. No shit.
Yeah, well,
anyway.
I can believe his stupidity and incompetence because they're desperate to keep everything they do a secret.
Yep. Well, they don't want any pushback. They don't want to have to, face any kind of a common sense or anything that might, go against their agendas. And just looking at that Pam Bondi clip earlier is a good example of that.
Donald Trump was probably like, no fly zone. That sounds like a great thing. I don't like flies. Who does?
So there's a couple of comedians, by the way, that are kind of screwing themselves talking about the Epstein thing. Brian Callen, who was already, his career is pretty much over anyway. He was like kind of defending, people like, oh, you know what? I want to talk about this Friday, and I ended up not streaming Friday. You guys know who Deepak Chopra is?
Yes. Although
yes.
I do have to go.
Okay.
Unfortunately. So,
all right. Yeah, I gotta go too. So I'll just leave it Friday. But he's in the Epstein files, and he's saying some gross shit with Epstein. It's gross, and I hate that guy. So everybody subscribe to Chariot.
Yeah.
And Ryan.
I put out a new video today. You guys should go watch it. It's about the critical stinker.
Nice. God, you're obsessed with him. You're just trying to use him for clout.
I am.
You're grifting.
I bet you've already gotten those comments. Have you already gotten them?
True, bestie. The comments have been pretty good so far.
Okay.
I like the ones where people are like, "Oh, you call them a liar, but you're actually the same as them because you're on the other side." And it's like it's really cool to know
Right.
that like lying and disagreeing with lying is the same thing to you. That's awesome. I
Literally
love
the
that.
same thing. And yeah, and being calling out bigotry is the same, just divisive, just like bigotry is.
True. So true.
I
So
heard
true.
that one before. So
Well, I will see you all later.
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 Either you fellas have anything else?
No, we've covered everything I was going to cover.
Cool.
Yep.
Ryan, what's going on with you?
Business as usual. Still putting out Rockwood Files reviews. And in the totally non-political Rockwood Files, the last 2 reviews I did, the one was about feminism, and the one after that was about the first one was about a combination of feminism and immigration. Had a character who had emigrated into the US illegally 38 years earlier. Nothing relevant about that today. And then the second video was about how press manipulation can occur and how it can affect those who are suffering from delusional mental issues and cause them to do nuts things. So, like I said, totally not political.
Rockford, he's all like, fuck all these wokies, these commies, right? Like, get them out of here. Sorry. Thanks everybody for putting up with my my janked up setup today. I don't know why the hell everything decided to stop working, and I'm gonna have to figure that out before Friday and hopefully get that done. So, by the way, name of my channel has changed now, by the way, if you haven't seen that. It's different, completely different. It's called Dane AF now. Please go subscribe to Official Modern Audience. Look us up, subscribe over there. We're going to be doing our official launch before too long with a new show. Same faces, same general attitude and level of, giving a fuck, and hopefully a little bit more of structure. Maybe not. We'll see. Bob, what do you got?
I will be streaming possibly Saturday. I'm not sure about my schedule. I'm not sure when I'm going to have my kids. I'm going to try to stream Saturday, though. And then, of course, we'll have the podcast on Tuesday. Where we'll be talking. Oh, yeah, we're going to be talking about Starfleet Academy and Oscar nominees and stuff like that. So, yeah, make sure to keep up.
Free Palestine. Absolutely. Fuck ICE. Get the fuck out of here. If you're ICE fans, fuck ICE. All right.
Yeah, abolish ICE. I'm done with them.
Rob, if you end up seeing this, man, I believe you have the ability to do better. I believe it's possible. I don't believe that you were on some path that you're not able to go back from. You can completely redeem yourself. Watch Ernie's video, listen to what he has to say, take on the fucking uncomfortable criticism, and then do some self analysis, self work. You got it, bud. If not, fuck off. And Ryan, thanks for being here. Peace out, everybody.
Enjoy the negative grift, guys. I'm out.